Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The ceremony is about to begin. You've seen this entertainment is not new. You've seen this entertainment through and through. You've seen your birth, your life, your death. You might recall all the rest. Did you have a good world when you died? Enough to base a movie on? What are the humans doing?
Do you think you're ready? Can you handle the truth? Or are you in denial and demand more proof? They demonstrate in real time how they're spinning you lies, but no one pays attention, no one opens their eyes. They walk around like zombies with their head in the mobiles, signaling their virtues with a pick on their profile. Yeah. Signaling their virtues with a pick on their profile. So if you think you're ready, you don't need more proof. Conspiracy deniers are denying the truth. They fabricate our problems and pretend to provide the best solution, but we all know they lie. They lied about the weapons and they lied about health. They lied about the fact that they're transferring the wealth. You should really notice how they're pushing the fear. Keep everybody terrified and not thinking clear. Yeah. Everybody's not thinking clear. Keep everybody terrified. Yeah, thinking and not thinking. Keep everybody terrified and not thinking clear. When you do, you realize that this is a trick. It's getting really stupid now, they're taking the mic. Said, do you think you're ready? Can you handle the truth? Or are you in denial and demanding more proof? They demonstrate in real time how they're spinning you lies, but no one pays attention, no one opens their eyes. They walk around like zombies with their head in the mobiles, signaling their virtues with a pick on their profile. Yeah. Signaling their virtues on their profile.
Make me suck the sushi off this stick.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sasquatch Shills, where Sasquatch Shills so you don't have to. And this is just the part of the show where I explain something very interesting. Tonight's guest hasn't actually started YouTubing yet. How's that for catching them early? But you know how we do it around here. It's sort of a catch and release type program. We try to let them grow up big and strong. So I introduce the Ivory Fool.
Yeah,
I gotta know, man. I gotta know why the Ivory Fool.
yeah. I was thinking about a name to use, and one thing that I try to do is like have conversations about things that I'm interested in, and oftentimes I'll talk to people that actually went to school for something, and sometimes I feel a little gatekept, and I think that these types of conversations should be available to more people. And so I kind of like, okay, if there's an ivory tower. And I feel like I'm at kind of a level where I can sort of communicate back and forth. I can sort of like be in this liminal space of not quite a layman, but also not quite an expert either. So maybe the fool of an ivory tower.
I love the premise. That's absolutely amazing. The ivory tower's fool. You're not the queen, the king. You're just the jester, just the asshole sitting in the corner making everybody laugh. I get it.
Yeah.
Get it, bro. I've got this premise from like back when I used to do an awful lot of drugs. Called the cosmic jester. The cosmic jester is that laughter you hear in your head right before you go to sleep at night, whether you've been up a week or 12 hours, whichever. And you can hear it. You know it's there. It's like you feel the universe laughing at you. We referred to it as the cosmic jester. I kind of like the ivory fool better. I'm not going to lie. That's it's a little more quintessential, I think.
Thanks. Yeah. Originally, I was like, maybe they're like an onyx ladder, but I felt like that was too edgy.
You could have gone with the obsidian pathway.
Yeah. Yeah.
The obsidian jester. Yeah, I can dig it. I like it. I like it. So you're gonna take your channel in a political approach. That's that. Definitely, you're full on announcing to the world that I am a liberal and I am going to liberate the liberals of Libertaria. No, I think that might be a different place. What's up, El Perro? We got some folks in chat over here. We got Brandon Mitchell. Good to see you, brother. Everybody throw out a share. We're still trying to learn how this whole system works, right? So we're going to share and pretend like that's what we did. Or at least copy the share. I mean, all both of you. El Perro, you count at least 15 deep. Where are they at? Stop it. Get some help. That man wears a Hitler mustache just to see what you'd say about it. You think I'm joking? Hold on, watch this. Let me find the right buttons. That shit might be fixing to get. Well, see, you're like you said, you want to talk to people, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So the idea here is to get you broken in on Ice and Gentle. Where did I meet you? Was it a Resla's panel?
It was Raging Tomato.
Ah, that makes sense. Oh, I love her. I got to get her in my intro. I haven't updated my intro in a minute. So I think it's been about a year. It's about due. Good douche. All right. So remind me, hold on, let me do this right. Remind me. Can you drop your channel link next in the private chat so that I can just drop it in the
yeah, sure.
Chat over there, because I'm going to pin the StreamYard link to let people come up. We're not going to mock this kid, right? See, here's what's going to happen. Depending on who it is that comes up, there might only be one of them. Because some of them, one is a lot.
I can handle it.
We got it together, honey.
Everyone.
My co-host screaming at me. Stop screaming at me. I can hear it through the ether sphere. Just quit it, this one. Get it together, Squatch. I can hear it now. I could be mean, but I'm not drinking, so we should be safe enough. Oh yeah, there is one thing I want to do. As to do with that whole intro sequence. Smile, say hi.
Hey, how's everyone?
Excellent. That's fantastic. Now, what on earth possessed you? You're like sitting around on the pot one day, dropping a clinker in the bottom of the toilet, and you're like, I'm gonna be a YouTuber. Where does this come from?
I personally think I have a pretty unique perspective that I don't see a lot of people voicing. Like, I think the closest person is probably like Jordan Peterson, but I think Jordan Peterson kind of moved away from, the left a little bit. I think he was kind of on the left when he first started. Like, he was like in the middle. It was weird, but now he's like firmly on the right, and so I feel like there's not a lot of people like on his wavelength, and I think he had a lot of good things to say, and I want to kind of continue that. And but also I have my own twist on it. So
I have an interesting Jordan Peterson story. At least people tell me it's interesting. When I was trying to get off Smack, I was having a rough go of it, and I had made the decision that I was quitting, but had not actually put into effect the quit. Right? I was basically just self-loathing and hatred and steeping in my own anxiety, basically. And I woke up one morning, and this was right after I'd quit, like maybe the second day or the second time I actually slept, which might have been many hours. I don't really know. It's all kind of vague through there. But I'm laying there sleeping. I listen to audiobooks, usually some cheesy lit RPG type stuff that just, is brain numbing, brain rot. I don't want to think about it. I just want to go to bed. That's it. Right. So
I've got stuff like that.
apparently it had ended, and I woke up with Kermit the Frog telling me that I should clean my room and do some other stuff. Right. And, I couldn't believe that Kermit the Frog was so wise. And then later I realized that it was actually Jordan Peterson. And that made me feel somewhat a little bit better, but also a little bit worse. And but it was the trigger that triggered me from being the lump of withdrawal that I was at the time to actually doing stuff, because that's exactly what I did. I got up, I cleaned my room, then I cleaned my bathroom, then I cleaned my hallway. And then my wife asked me if I needed help. And I was like, yeah, can you hand me the broom? And she was like, no, I mean mental health. What are you doing? I said, the frog told me to clean. And it seemed like a bad idea. And I'm really, really bored and I feel horrible. So I'm just going to clean this. And it turned into this and then that and then that and then that and then that. And that was the method by which I got to where I could do more. Willie, Hobo Ralph. What is up, Willie? How you doing, baby? Hey, John, welcome in. I appreciate you coming through. We got John DeNicola in the chat. That man's regular as clockwork. He must take his fiber regular. It's Metamucil or something. All that.
No, I love that story. I mean, I think that's exactly the type of thing that Jordan was always, reflecting on and appreciating about his audience.
Doesn't that all just come down to self-accountability, though? When it really boils down to most of his discussions, it comes down to self-realization, self-accountability, right? You have to realize the effects you have in the world around you and act in the good to reduce your negative impacts in that world.
Yeah, it's self-accountability plus then what happens when you have a bunch of individuals all being self-accountable and now all moving in the same direction, and then what does that create? What does their combined movement create? And that's like myths and religion and just grand narratives.
Are you a communist, sir?
No.
Okay. Well, I guess that's good. Oh, this is going to be great. So this motivator comes with a disclaimer. Okay. So this is El Perro, the heckle bus. He's been 15 dozen profiles over the past few years, but he's one of my favorites. Or at least he used to be. He had chilled out a lot, but Uncle Sam wants you. What's up, brother?
Greetings. All hail Trump.
You may if you wish, sir, but I got this knee problem and I just can't do it.
Well, you got, when you hail Trump, you got to come wearing sporting the correct attire, right?
Remember I told you there's a dude who wears the little mustache just to see what you'll say about it? Here he is. How you doing? What's going on?
And surprisingly enough, we have to be aware of what people say in relations to where they're at. And I mean, specifically where they're at. On the metaverse, they're going to run wild. And you really can't take what they say for any reality.
That's a good point. Mr. Fool, have you taken into account that people might not like you? That they may think you have funny hair, or your eyes are too far apart, or your nose is too long or too short, or you're too effeminate or too tall or too dark, too light, too dense, too, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to hate you, right? Now what? Now what's your plan? Now you are ultimately hated by everyone on earth who's willing to speak to you. They hate you. Now what?
I think at that point, if it's literally everyone, I can bow out. I'm fine with that.
No,
it's more like,
listen, hear me out. It's not that it's everyone. It's just that the people who like you don't tell you they like you. They give you just as much shit as the trolls because they like you.
Yeah.
You'll be able to tell
I'm
the
doing it
difference.
because I think that I have something to say that'll make people's lives better. I think at the end of the day, I wouldn't be doing this if I felt like I didn't have something unique and important to say. So I'm going to say it.
What's your unique perspective specifically? What does it come down to? Is it separating church and state? Is it separation of unions? Is it the division of labor? Is it the workers, the proletariat? Where are we at here?
I haven't really thought about how to give a one line for exactly what is unique about my perspective, but I mean, I think the
You're gonna
biggest
need to
thing
come up with
is
that one, bro. Because when you run into Joe Cool, he's gonna pin your ass to the ground with a stake, bro. He's gonna mark territory right in the middle of your chest. Go, this man is a liberal of exactly this degree, and then he's gonna walk away like he does. Probably tell a cop to go fuck himself, if I had to guess, but I'm just guessing.
okay. I think that. Well, I mean, I think I have an interesting framework. I like to talk about how the we were like that how history goes through different phases. So, for example, in the antiquity, when Plato and Aristotle are first coming up, they're learning about deductive reasoning, and they
And
are
reductive reasoning, like
sorry,
they were, and reductive reasoning, not just
sure,
deduction, but reduction as well. They were big in reductive reasoning, actually.
yeah, I'm sure. And so then, like, as history progresses, then you have people caring more and more about like statistics and inductive reasoning, and so you have this new era of like Descartes and all the liberal philosophers. What is the word? It's not liberal.
Well, sir, it's kind of hard to call it liberal if they're 3,000 years old. Chances are they're a little more conservative than you're willing to give them credit for. Maybe.
I'm talking about like classic liberalism, not like liberal in terms
not
of
mid
like
90s liberalism. I got you.
no. Yeah. So like the classic academics like Kant, maybe not, like John Locke, Rousseau.
All right, so we need to make, yeah, no, I'm down with Locke. I got you. We need to make a distinction here, though. Are we speaking of American liberalism, or are we talking like world globalist liberals? Because that's a different stripe entirely. I mean, they are slightly farther left. Keep in mind, I am slightly right of Attila the Hun. I think we should all do what I say. But if we're not going to do that, okay, if we're not going to do that, we got to figure out this voting thing, and it's got to be fair.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think
Deal.
yeah, I'm all for it. When I say liberal, I'm mostly referring to, I guess, the academic definition, which is more like just someone that is, they care more about the out group, or they care about all groups and not just their in group. Well, not the in group, but like people further away from them. That classic image where it's like the circles of empathy. And I'm not saying that makes liberals better, because I think they have the same amount of empathy. It's just kind of where you direct it. It's kind of how I understand that. So that's kind of like,
hello, Duck. Welcome in, bud.
yeah,
he's a liberal too, just so you know. Duck's on your side in all this. I don't know how, but he is, because if you ask him questions, he never actually answers anything. That sounds pretty liberal to me. I'm taking shots, but it's fun.
But yeah, that's how I kind of think of liberalism. It's just like the opposite of conservatism and kind of like those academic.
But I thought progressivism was the opposite of conservatism, right? Because keep in mind, Trump won on a mid-90s liberal platform. He ran on almost identical platform to Bill Clinton. Won as a quote-unquote Republican, right? Been a New York Democrat his whole life. I'm pretty sure he's running on the actual opinions he actually has, and not making them up, since they seem to have pretty much been straight line from mid-90s wrestling days all the way to today. And he hasn't really changed what he wants to do. He's just changed his ability to do it, I suppose. And I don't love Trump. I think I don't want to go drinking with that man, but I don't mind if you're going to have an asshole in the room. Better my asshole than just somebody else's asshole, right? So I'll accept the bull in the china shop analogy if you wish, but whatever. He's definitely
were the
stirring
specific
shit
policies you're saying was the same as Bill Clinton?
Economically speaking, very similar, with the exception of how he managed tariffs. Now, his first term that he won, that was almost straight up and down off of early Bill
Bill
Clinton's
Clinton lowered
first term.
taxes though, didn't he? Or raised taxes? Sorry.
Well, I mean, it wasn't a one-for-one apples-to-apples comparison, but I mean, think about it. New York Democrat, he voted for Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the actual policies. I love it. It's great because everybody's
Bill Clinton
thinking
was like a
that's
globalist, wasn't
conservative
he?
now. Is it?
Wasn't Bill
Yeah,
Clinton super globalist?
certainly a globalist. Now, that is one
Trump is
strike
like the
where they
opposite of that.
differ strongly. That
Okay.
is one strike where they differ strongly. I don't think you could call Trump anything other than a nationalist, and I don't mean that as in a dirty word. I mean that just he really likes being an American. I mean, it oozes out of his pores. I've got an excellent clip for this, by the way. You'll love this. Have you ever met Lawyer Chick?
No.
All right, so go chill out with Midlife Bro Logic. She'll pop up. We did a debate on the Raging Tomato, and I absolutely slaughtered them. It looked like I was abusing women and children. It was horrible. I lost 3 subscribers with 500 people watching. I take that as a badge of honor myself because I came out, gave my opening statement. The entire panel agreed with me, and I went, "Guess we're done. We can go home now." I don't know what else to say. I wasn't expecting that. So what do you do if they all agree to you? But listen to this.
This guy is Teflon. He is like who in the world could I say nearly 100 felony criminal charges have been leveled against the former president? And he is still like rallying and campaigning. I feel like he like eats his shit and it just like makes him tanner and younger and stronger. I feel like he eats it with like a golden spoon that's like emblazoned the Mar-a-Lago emblem, and he's just like, give me more charges. It's like amazing. You better not cut that and make that a video.
I might have cut that and made that a video. It might have happened just the way she said.
Hail Trump.
I don't go that hard, dude. I mean, I kind of feel like we're living idiocracy and we're breeding dumber people. And that's where I kind of want to disagree with you when you're like, you think people are largely good and they will do what's best for everyone and that would be better. That's not true, though. There are people who wander around on the street and stab folks for fun. That does not equate in what's up, Bumpkin?
Well, and in today's society, I think people are more solipsistic and hedonistic. And I have to admit this myself, but that's only because I've come to discern certain things and I have to be that way. I have to be able to enjoy the insanity that goes on around me by paying attention to myself and what I'm doing and enjoying that.
Right.
Sure.
Hail Trump.
Hey, don't. Hey, and understand, folks, this is just a trigger. I'm not a Trump fan at all. I've never registered to vote.
That's the funniest part of all this is I've heard this man go off about Trump, like almost TOS violating shit, threatening and stuff. It's hilarious. Is that stuff still up? I should go look.
So
That
is
would
the
be
specific
hilarious.
question like, that there are people that do bad things, and like how do you square that away with considering that people are generally pretty good?
Okay, so first of all, you assume that people are generally pretty good.
Well, I'm saying that's my view. So how
you?
do I square that away personally? Is my is like
Well,
how I'm trying to phrase your question.
I think I know a perfect way. Let's make everyone carry a pistol. Make it mandatory. It is your ID. And this will solve several problems all at once. One, every gun is in America. They're all ID'd. They're all on the registry. They're part of your voting base. They're literally what you use to track each and every person.
Sure.
Right? Okay. Suddenly, there's no unarmed people on the street. That dude that was walking around stabbing people. Once you've violated that Second Amendment, you lose access to it. That's pretty much true today. If you do a violent crime involving a firearm, they take your ability to ever possess a firearm, ever.
I mean, is that worth it though? If it causes more people to die?
Oh, all you have to do is put gun safety in schools where it belongs because it's a right and not a privilege.
Well, so, I mean, there's things like suicide and aggravated assault. Like
I can't help. If you take everybody's gun, they will use a rope, sir.
Well, guns make suicide more deadly. That's like
No,
No,
that's not.
no.
Statistics.
Suicide is deadly because that's the intent of it. It doesn't matter
Purpose.
what weapon. Yeah, you can't use that
Jump
because
off a
it's
building.
deadly.
no.
Whatever.
So there's, I mean, you can look up statistics and it'll show that
A man without a gun will find a way to kill himself. Look at Epstein, for crying out loud.
No, so I mean, people. I mean, do you think that if people didn't have access to a gun, that they would be less likely that the suicide attempt would be successful?
No.
How are you going to stop them
No.
from having access to a gun?
Well, it's not that
Hey,
you stop them from having
it
access
shows
to it.
that
It's that
crime
you don't give it to them actively.
It shows
Hold
that
on,
the crime
hold
rate
on.
doesn't fall either. It shows that
Keith,
the crime
give me
rate
one
does
second.
not fall.
If you need a minute to catch your breath, just let me know. I'll kick everybody out of here. This first hour is your time. If you're starting to not like how things are going, give everybody the fucking Buddha to go back to being me and you just talking. Because this is a Sasquatch Shills and not a normal panel. The normal panel picks up in a few minutes. So if things get a little too hot and heavy, just throw up the red flag, type something in the back chat, flip everybody off and go get a toasty. I don't know. Like, just give me the signal, bro.
No, this is fine. So, like if everyone has readily available access and then they have a suicidal ideation, that's generally a transient state of mind. Like
I hate to be that
you're
guy,
not always
but that
like
will
thinking
take
about
care of
suicide.
itself really quick.
How does
That will be an almost infinitesimal amount of people in the long run, because initially everyone who has a suicidal ideation will utilize their easiest ability to do so, and then it won't be there anymore.
Well, what about people
Because
that,
they're all
that like are fine
successful.
and then they have a couple bad days, you know?
I know, I get what you're saying. I have a brother who's schizophrenic, and it's sometimes it's tough, bro. He has bad days, man, and sometimes it's fucking hard. And sometimes you got to go dig him out of the engine bay of a combine. I mean, different people handle things in different ways, I guess.
Sure.
The engine bay of a combine.
Doesn't it make sense that if people have readily available access to a more lethal weapon and something that they see as painless and something that they clearly can form a plan around it, that might.
But you can do that with
likely.
any method. I mean, this is the same argument for homicide. I mean, when you're talking about homicide,
is it easier to hang yourself or is it easier to shoot yourself? Which one do you think is easier to figure out how you're going to do that? Like, how long do you think it would take you to figure out how you're going to hang yourself right now?
With easy access, yes, you are correct. And I'm not debating that point. You're absolutely right. But the attempt to limit access to firearms, law-abiding citizens.
I don't think we should limit access to firearms. I'm just talking about if we actively give everyone a pistol. I am full support for whatever people want to do and buy with a firearm, especially if, as you say, we ensure that they're responsible with it, right? I think that's totally fine. I'm not gonna,
so you wouldn't have a problem with gun safety being part of public school curriculum?
I think it could definitely work. I wouldn't be
used to work
on principle.
It used to be a part of the Georgia school curriculum when I was very young. When I was very, very young, I remember seeing the older kids doing the gun safety thing in the school, and I wasn't allowed to participate because I was like 5. They wouldn't let me over there with the big kids, but of course,
Yeah, I mean, it's also just like a cultural thing. Like, I think America having its unique culture, having a culture on guns, that's valuable. But even without culture, it's like, I don't know. Like, I'd really need to see very convincing evidence, and I don't think that evidence exists that teaching gun safety in school is harming society. So
right,
I'm not super opposed. I'm not on principle opposed to that.
Yeah, and I don't think gun safety should be taught in schools first and foremost, if I can speak up, because that's part of the problem is the public education system. I believe everything should be done at home, including your natural survival skills in outdoors and processing and gardening, things like that. I think we need to get back to a more natural lifestyle. Excuse me?
Wouldn't people run out of time if we tried to do everything ourselves?
Well, it's not something that's going to happen overnight, but people behave as if that's the process. No, you have to start.
If someone has to work and teach their kids, how does that?
You don't have to work.
Yes, how do you vet for higher learning in that scenario?
That's true too.
That's my primary issue. I don't believe that the academics in America are as astute as they pretend to be. It seems to largely be a popularity contest of who votes the right way or what the hell ever. It's a really weird environment. There's an awful lot of communists in our colleges nowadays, and it's a really weird thing, I think.
And I'll point something out inside of the politics, because you got to remember it's the polity that determines a nation's structure, and therefore that's what regulates the law. So it's coming from the political aspect for the legal legislation and stuff. So in that, we've got a public education system that teaches us to remember things inside of that polity. It is, like he said, it's a popularity contest, and nobody's thinking outside the box. They're not taught to have that critical thinking, and that's the problem. The public education system that doesn't allow for the expansive education, but for the indoctrination. So we end up with people that aren't smart enough.
There was a young lady that I saw a video on the other day who had been accepted to a college, and when she got to the college, it was discovered that she could not read. And the question came far and away, how did you graduate from high school, right? But how did you get accepted to college if you can't actually read, right? And things like that happen just because, oh, she's pretty, or oh, she's this, that, or the other thing. She ticks the right boxes. She's the right kind of victim. And I'm thinking, somebody was talking about the pendulum swinging, that whole Overton window thing, man. It's been driven as far left as I think it's going to tolerate. People just are not caring anymore. They don't care. Victim, color, race, even your monetary status in the country is less important than your political views, which is absolutely batshit crazy if you think.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. What exactly is the debate right now?
Well, no, actually, this is the ivory pool. He wants to get into kind of the political debate sphere kind of thing, right?
Okay.
And he says he wants to talk to people. And so usually when I do Sasquatch Shills, we come in, we look at their content, we do the thing. But this is a different type of channel. He hasn't actually uploaded anything. He doesn't actually have content that's actually on his channel, right? So he wants to meet people. He's meeting people. Very, very strange people. It's okay.
Okay.
I might be one here.
What's up, Ivory? How's it going?
Hey, how are you?
I'll give a little introduction. I'm Bumpkin. I do a lot of politics stuff. I also run Blood Sports Debates on my channel as well. If
nice,
you're
I'd love to come on.
If you're just getting into this, I would say you probably Blood Sports Debates would be like dropping someone that's never been in boot camp directly onto the battlefield. So it's I don't think that's
I'm down. I'm down to see what happens.
We've already covered some of the what do you do when everybody hates you? Now what?
Yeah.
I started there.
But
I'm down to be in that meme with all the swords at my neck.
Yeah. I would say that we're talking about freedom, right? Even though I'm not a big proponent of freedom, I'm very okay with taking away freedom away for the collective good. I would say that when it specifically comes to the Second Amendment or when it comes to guns, that is just not something that I'm really willing to grant away for the good of someone that I wouldn't say is the collective, right?
Sure, yeah. I mean, my pushback on the gun thing was if we give everyone guns, like actively give them guns.
Oh yeah, no, I'm a full proponent on the concept of it being issued. Right around the time you go to public school, you get your little pretend gun that you have to have, and you got to keep it just like a real gun. And then by the time you graduate, you're issued your official pistol, and it's also the pistol you'd take into battle. Right? It's supposed to be functional and well maintained, much like the Constitution said originally. And the Constitution of Georgia still says I'm supposed to maintain basically battle-ready conditions at all times, just in fucking case, bro. In case what? I don't know. I saw freaking Independence Day, and once aliens showed up. So,
I don't think we need people literally like on the streets all the time strapped. But I do think that there's nothing wrong with.
We need police.
No, I'm saying like all the citizens. Of course, police are fine.
Police are fine.
Yeah,
They can just walk around strapped all the time. In fact, they have to have
because
that, right?
Yeah, that because like that's like these are specifically people that are like paid to have a responsibility to protect the public order and the public safety. Whereas,
but that is already
civilian,
But that is already on the militia. That's what the Second Amendment is about.
Well, the militia is supposed to be to fight tyranny.
Yeah, foreign or domestic.
Is not like
foreign or domestic. Foreign or domestic.
Right, but you have to have tyranny first. No, like we're not just constantly in a state of tyranny.
In the event that there's a wolf attack, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not even joking, dude. I hear what you're saying. Yeah, without wolves, bears,
if it's rural,
cougars,
that's different.
Whatever.
If it's a rural area, that's different for people to be.
It's rural people can walk around strapped all the time, just not people in cities.
Because I think in a rural setting, like people know each other, so that like one, it'd be way less likely for to like just get angry at someone and
you know how much we drink, sir.
Well, it's still like it's. I think that when you know someone over a long period of time, like it's easier to control murderous impulses. I gotta assume like it'd be easier to control murderous impulses against a stranger that you've only met this one time versus someone in your community.
Okay, but now you're talking about
and
murderous
especially because
impulse.
like in a rural setting, the police probably wouldn't be as available.
But now you're talking
in different places.
But now you're talking about controlling a murderous impulse rather than the gun or the knife or the rope or the fuel that started the fire, whatever.
Well, it's a combination. So like if someone has a murderous impulse but they don't have a gun to act on it very efficiently, I think that
Did you know a car could be more efficient than any gun?
A what? A what can?
A car can be more efficient than any gun.
Sure, but if I'm in an argument in a club or outside, if I'm in an argument in a bar or a club, I'm not in a car.
Yeah, and you're running if, so let me play my if. Because if you have a murderous impulse and you don't have a gun, but you got a really nice car and there's a central community project going on and you're just pissed and you just want to go out and commit mass murder. Not all mass murders are committed by guns.
Sure, yeah, but I think cars provide some value that
what is the
value of what is the value of people being like random citizens being strapped in like a city block where there's plenty of police around, right?
Well, that would depend on the value of their murderous impulse.
Why? I think that's separate.
Well, no, that's directly related because their murderous impulse, I could say, I really wish I could kill this guy and not mean it. That's a different level of murderous impulse.
No, even if the value of people just having guns in the middle of a city square,
because no matter
plenty of police around,
because no matter what, the response time, even in cities, are not enough to save someone's life.
Correct. So if you have civilians that are strapped, according to the militia, and its prerequisite that they shall be armed and ready and able, doesn't state where, when, why, or how. And it specifically says foreign or domestic.
That's a fair position. So where I come at it from is like I think that the likelihood of someone using their car to to harm people, and compared to the benefit of people being able to have cars and use them, is the likelihood is much lower and the benefit is much higher than the likelihood of someone using a gun in an aggravated scenario, and the potential benefit of saving that amount of time, I don't think outweighs that.
So let's aggravate the scenario and go your way and say no guns. Now that people have no guns.
People from having guns.
Now that people have no guns. Now that people have no guns. So the only weapons they have are of their own devices. So even though the gun murders have gone down, the other murders still remain the same. The pendulum is not going to sink.
Well, that's not true.
The murder. Understand. Let me finish. Let me finish. Does it? No, it's not the weapon that's deadly. It's the murderous impulse.
Okay, hang on. If I punch someone, like fists can be lethal, right? But like,
sure,
it'd be harder to kill someone with my fist because they have more.
True.
It's harder for me. Like I can't just kill anyone with a fist. I can kill anyone with a gun. I can guarantee.
Yeah, so that's a dumb way to try to kill somebody.
Okay, So then, that means that the murder rate probably isn't going to be the same if people only have fists rather than guns.
It's still going to be a murder.
Not necessarily, right? Because like maybe the murder doesn't happen because there's no gun.
No, now you're trying to say maybes. No, on a murderous.
Let's wait. I missed Bumpkin. Sorry, Bumpkin. I'll be right back. All right, check it out.
No, I'm not advocating for no guns, Mike.
Yeah, see, but that's the thing is like you're advocating for less guns, but no exact.
No. I'm advocating that we don't give people guns. I'm advocating we don't actively give people guns. I think I screwed you up with that one right out the box. I think let's back up. Let's take a breather. Are you pro or anti Second Amendment? I'm pro Second Amendment.
Okay.
I think we should keep the Second Amendment.
We can put that to bed. We don't really have to have that conversation. You don't have to defend a position you don't really believe in. I think that's probably the best thing to do, right? Okay.
Sure.
I'm gonna press the wrong button in a second. I bet you kick somebody. Is everybody here?
Yeah, you just destroyed your position on wanting to subject people to not being able to just have guns.
No, I it's not that I want to coerce anyone to do anything. I want to say I don't want to encourage people to walk around with a gun.
Well, that would go again. That destroys your statement that you believe in the Second Amendment because it encourages that.
No, I believe in the right to own a gun. I don't believe that we should encourage people to own a gun.
The Second Amendment, the entire militia thing has it like by bringing up the militia and the Second Amendment. It basically kind of subverts down to, or rather, it shifts down to what is a militia. You have to do all of that thought process, work out what a militia does, what is its purpose. And it's not just to fight tyranny. That's not all it is. It's for managing the public good. It's for keeping the freaking streets not necessarily clean of crime, but it's sort of that citizen arrest thing where you call and you report the crimes when you see them. And that kind of stuff, it goes along with a lot of community backing and usually, at least in the South, they're associated with churches. Go figure. So, if you ever do anything to trigger the militia, it will blow your mind who shows up. And it could be a natural disaster. It could be like recently, not too long ago, we had Hurricane Helene come through here. It flattened this motherfucker like a biblical fucking plague, dude. Place looked like Fallout with gas stations. It was fucking amazing. So I went on an adventure, dude. I took my adventure wagon halfway across the state to go rescue some chick who had lost power, water, and everything else. She was just like stuck in the hood in some town over there that she'd moved to like 2 days before. Suddenly, everything went to hell in a bucket. She's like, I don't want to be here no more. 4-wheel drive dude buggy, let's do it. Bud. I'm sorry, I got distracted. What were we talking about?
I think you're talking about militias and
right,
and
they
having to
can be
define
useful.
them.
But largely militias have gone by the wayside, and people kind of think of the National Guard when they kind of don't think about it as a militia, right? Doug, what have you got going on over there, my boy?
I can simplify it a little bit if you guys want.
Who is Raz Jesse Don? Does anyone know this guy? Can you throw me some gang signs up so I can tell you're not like a robot or something, or just?
I don't recognize that name.
I can't see you, dude.
Is this doing gang signs justice? Gang.
Close enough. Okay, I think you're a real person. We're gonna do us a mic check. You functional?
What's up, Sasquatch? You were on my show. Missing link.
Oh yeah. Welcome in, bud.
I wanted to comment about people that would think that people should take away people's guns or limit guns. When that happens, do you think that the criminals give up their guns? So when the society is not armed, when people are not allowed to have guns to defend themselves, all the criminals now are the ones with the guns, and that makes things a lot more dangerous for everyone.
When outlaws guns, only the outlaws have guns. Yes.
We hear conservatives tout this argument around it all. And then there's always, these, these NRA, activists going around and collecting cases where a firearm was successfully used to shoot someone. In the way in which a firearm can be used successfully to shoot someone. And so, I feel like, yeah, if you want to strip the situation of all social context, sure, leave criminals with guns, take them away from the good guys. It's really difficult to justify why, Jesse, I don't know you, but, someone like you saying, well, I'm a good guy with a gun, so I'm a good guy. To me, that sounds like tautology, and it sounds like it's telling me to not think about what I believe.
What about this? What if we took all the guns away from the good guys and then funded the police way more?
How can you successfully take the guns away from the?
Good luck.
You make the guns illegal. Not okay. I don't actually want to make guns illegal, but like, what if we reduce the amount of
we talked about earlier?
Okay. So
why is that? Why is that your argument?
We didn't encourage people to concealed carry or carry guns or open carry, whatever, regularly, like, in a city, but we funded police way more. Like, does that work? Or is that, are we kind of
that sounds an awful lot like the Weimar Republic, or like that's basically
what do you mean by that?
I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. Not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
They took the guns and then made police basically brown shirts. Next thing you freaking know,
the people that want guns still have guns. Like, everyone that wants a gun still has it. We're just not actively encouraging people to take their gun out into the city. So it's like,
okay, all right, I got you.
So we fund the police, and like, if the police become tyrannical, then the militia activates,
But then but you've already encouraged, this would be 3 or 4 generations in, you've already encouraged people to not carry guns around. So therefore they're going to be completely blind to that tyranny if it comes.
What?
They're not going to be.
They might be like, okay, so like, let's say, so maybe the police, like in the moment, a policeman does something illegal and it's like systemic or whatever, and then they don't have their gun. But the thing is, that the first time that happens, like, everyone's gonna be like, oh shit, the police are doing fucked up shit. It's time to start bringing my gun out in public. And like, that's fine. I'm totally supportive of that. If the police start doing fucked up shit after we made more police, and people needed to be strapped at all times to take care of themselves, take care of their family, I'm fully on board.
Okay, so I think we can move on from the firearm conversation. He's not advocating for the taking of guns, ladies and gentlemen. We covered that just a moment ago. I'm very specifically into it. Guns are not the topic. They're not supposed to be the topic. Let's talk about economics for a minute.
Okay.
Are you planning on using guns to take people's money to redistribute wealth?
I am.
Stop
we
it.
could
Get
smelt
some help.
We could smelt the guns down and teach people how to cook with iron skillets. Make the homesteaders happy.
That's not, folks. Look at that, duck.
You gotta scrub it.
It's
You can't use
like
too
the
much water.
paprika in the soup.
It's gonna get
Many
rusty.
people are iron deficient.
We just start feeding.
Welcome to Sasquatch Shills, where you learn the most useless information ever. That's beautiful.
I got something to propose.
What if
I'll marry you, but only if you give me a big ring.
What type of ring?
A cock ring.
Okay, that's what I thought.
You're definitely going to be on your knees when you propose, bro.
That's crazy. I'm out of this fucking show. That's crazy. No.
Bro's actually taking off.
No. So what if, because I think the major disconnect is, okay, so let's look at like how policing works. Okay, let's talk about policing. Okay.
Sure.
So we have typically on a local level, we have 2 forms of policing. All right. We have sheriffs and sheriff deputies, and we have city PD. All right. Now, sheriffs and sheriff's deputies, they abide by the Constitution.
Okay.
PD abide by a city ordinance. Okay?
Yeah. Police actually enforce policy of a city.
Of a city.
Sheriffs enforce laws.
Sheriffs enforce laws, right? So I honestly believe that we should completely and this is our very radical opinion. I know radical opinion for me, whatever. We should completely dissolve police departments, and we should extend the range for sheriffs and completely fund sheriffs. Because
Well, so
therefore,
doesn't someone have to enforce city ordinances?
No,
Most ordinances are just revenue generators.
They're just revenue like for instance, right?
Well, I mean,
Right.
doesn't something have to fund the city?
Pumpkin, that sounds like a crazy idea. So just really quickly, it's a crazy idea because people are already feeling that police departments need to have trust. And so if police departments have a low level of trust already because it's difficult to staff, it's difficult to train, it's difficult to retain good officers that can enforce laws, then why would we somehow shrink the basket versus figuring out the best way to do community policing, to do effective traditional law enforcement?
Bro, we've talked about communication difficulties before, right? I mean, I think I get where you're going, but you transferred from an analogy of officers to baskets of things. And all I know is if there's a few bad apples, you send the whole bunch back. That's all I can think of.
Yes, but I would rather put my basket or my eggs in the basket that are actually abiding by the Constitution and actually upholding those.
That's the problem.
Why shouldn't cities be able to like?
I do mean
dictate
that.
what they want, like dictate like here are some rules that we want people to follow. Why shouldn't cities be able to do that?
Because when you have policing that is around strictly just revenue gaining, I don't feel like that is adequate whatsoever. Like for instance, right, I can give like IRL examples. All right, since I work very close with the police, I'm a correctional officer, all right, at a county jail. Here we go. So if someone gets a DUI within city limits and they're pulled over by a city cop,
so
right?
you're 24-hour cellmates, right? These are people that check in, check out.
I'm what?
These would be your friends for 24 hours. This is who you're telling us about.
Friends, no. I see them. They book.
Got it.
I see.
I understand.
Yeah. I work at a county jail, but the local city, right, also books people in, and they have to pay for people to be booked into the county jail because they do not own their own jail. So, for instance, with the DUIs, right? DUIs on a city basis are merely revenue seeking. On a county basis, right? They are.
I don't understand why.
Why? Okay, right. So for a first-time DUI offense, right? This is a crime that is completely. There's no action. There's a crime committed. They drink and drive, but they absolutely did not kill anyone, nothing like that. Nothing happened. They were just caught drinking and driving. Okay. First time offense, whatever. It is a minimum of $701. If they blew like over a certain amount, it's $901 bail, right?
Sure.
Right. So this is merely revenue seeking. But with the county.
Wait, hang on. If there's a fine or a bail, that discourages the behavior.
It discourages the behavior. But still, like, so instance with the SO or the county, right? Or the sheriff's office, right? First time offense, it's PRable with a sober ride. Now, if it happens again after that, then it's actually like you will have to pay a fine or you will have to have your license revoked for longer, right?
Wait, so what if the county says we're going to add a fine to the first time offense?
That is merely revenue seeking, but they could have done that anyway.
But how is it merely revenue seeking when there's a tangible like punishment that people are going to say, okay, there's more risk to drinking and driving, so I'm going to do it less.
They're already how DUIs work. There's already a
Wait, if you increase the punishment,
your license. Your license already gets revoked. You already have to go to classes to get your license back.
Okay, but then add another $700 on top of that. That makes it worse. That makes it even more likely that they're going to not want to get caught doing that, and maybe further discourage the behavior.
Have you ever been out drinking?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, that explains a lot. You see, when you're out drinking, you're drinking, and so you're not exactly thinking. And when you're
Well,
not
sure, but
thinking,
there's like there's
decision-making-
people around you that might be thinking, right? Like a bartender might say, "Okay, don't
bar?
drive."
They're also drinking.
The bartender, the bartender's drinking on the job.
Hey, Duck, you need to calm down, bro.
Duck, is that
Right.
you if you shave? Duck, is that you if you shave?
Jesus.
I believe that is the beautiful Dylan Mulvaney with Budweiser.
Duck, is that you if you shave,
No-
buddy?
Oh my
Notably,
God.
how many on the
this
woke
is-
right get DUIs?
There's a woke right.
I don't want to get into all this.
Who are
right
those
now.
people? I
Woke
mean,
right?
I've never met those people.
I mean, I think they're people. It's subjectivity, right? It's like saying like, well, if Ivory Fool wants to
Hey, are
reference that
they
DUIs make people safer.
self-identified as the woke right, or is that something you're just calling some people and not other people? 'Cause
Yeah, it's
that's
definitely it's something to be careful with, right? It's a very powerful derogatory label. I think saying that these
Oh.
are subjective opinions that people don't crawl out from under,
Wow,
in whatever
the
world
woke
they're
right.
living in.
Doug is the derail of a panel, and I don't think he means to. I think he's actually trying to communicate with us. And
I agree. Yeah.
okay, all right, we'll continue attempting. Duncan, would you like to chime in on anything Duck just said?
I mean, hey, Duck, are you okay if we ignore it if you feel like it's like we can't really understand what you're saying?
Don't ask him that.
Okay, I'm just gonna say
That is
that this is
one of the
what's
best
gonna
ways
happen.
Yeah, I
Talk
mean,
about
as a point of convenience, whatever suits you guys, right?
Okay,
Just
thank you. I appreciate
recycle the content,
that.
review my videos, that kind of
It's gonna make
stuff.
this a lot
It's all
easier.
useful.
Okay,
That was brilliant,
so,
dude.
Pumpkin.
Yeah. Because I am the best
why isn't
panelist
it
here.
fine?
I am the record. I am the best panelist here.
So why can't we have fines to further disincentivize behavior? Like, why doesn't that work with?
Because I
with,
don't think I don't think
DUIs?
financially those are good incentives, right? I'm not trying to financially bankrupt the populace even for doing crimes. I think the crime is that you're already being booked in and getting a criminal record, or you're going to serve jail time. I think that's the crime in and of itself.
Okay, so let me ask you this: if you could prove that a fine reduced the behavior, like we added this fine and DUIs went down, at what point do you think that, or is it just like on principle, no fines, like, or
well,
like,
no, because
yeah, how do you make that calculus?
Because you're directly creating more of a more poor people, right? So for instance, okay, right, obviously a person shouldn't be drinking and driving, obviously that's bad, right? But now when you add the fine on top of it and you add that like into the fold as well, you're going to create people in the long run that you don't know if they actually
so like we're weighing two things here, right? We're weighing like how likely is it that this fine makes someone put someone in a really bad spot versus how likely is it that, or like how much do these fines put people in a bad spot versus how much do these fines reduce drunk driving and therefore like save lives or make the community a safer place, and how do you, and so like we have to kind of figure out how we want to evaluate those two things, right? Like I think that's a pretty difficult decision. Like that's pretty complicated to figure out how exactly we want to value that.
Okay, I think the real root of the question is, do you consider the Constitution of the United States to be the law of the land?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and those rights should be upheld to the fullest extent, right?
Yes, but I'm not exactly sure what you mean.
Right. So my main problem with local PD is they do not care about the Constitution. They are only upholding the policies of the city, right? Whereas the sheriff's office is upholding the Constitution and constitutional rights.
Well, so
Now,
I mean, if a city passes an unconstitutional ordinance, that ordinance will get struck down in the courts.
Yeah, Bumpkin, I would want you to explain that.
not necessarily, right? Not necessarily. A lot.
Okay, I mean,
lot-
if that's not happening,
the
I
sort
think
of most
that's a
important
travesty.
thing
If
is that,
like,
like,
unconstitutional things are
you
being
have to run with
passed
it.
and
For instance, right? For instance, a lot of cities have a charge called terrorizing, right? What terrorizing is, it's not like it's legitimately saying, I could be like, hey, if you do that, right, and you come over here and I'm going to kill you, right? That is terrorizing. That is a C felony in some cities,
Okay.
which is wild, which should not be allowed because that is freedom of speech, right?
I mean, if
That-
there's
okay.
crimes
I
being
mean, hang on,
committed,
there's-
that's
there's
not that
some
wild.
speech
That's
that isn't-
if
there's some
someone's
speech that
rights
isn't
are
free.
being violated, can you guys bring it back to what the law is, which is people's rights being violated? That's sort of the main thing.
Which
What was that, Doug?
rights?
So when a crime is committed, like this usually means like, right, this is why some people object against drug use being a crime, because there's not another person's rights being violated. In some sense it is, because there's all kinds of externalities. So you believe that someone who maybe smoked marijuana when it was illegal was contributing to something else. So, BSBS conversation, right? But like, if I commit battery, which is like stepping into someone or something, we are presuming that this person's rights were violated, right? Their space was violated. They felt threatened. These are all things that are substantial or substantive. So, explaining why it matters that, whatever it actually means in the real world, like how a lawyer would explain the penal codes that lawyers are concerned with and state prosecutors are concerned with versus, someone at the municipal level, we're still talking about people's rights.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to crimes, in general, rights are about the crimes or like bad things that the state can do to someone. I don't think rights necessarily apply for. I mean, like the state upholds rights, but it doesn't necessarily have to be against a right to commit a crime against someone else. I think I'm not 100% sure on that, but that sounds right.
Yeah, in the case of terrorizing, there is no right that is actually you're not taking away anyone's rights. You are just speaking. Like obviously, battery
Yeah.
is different. Battery is you are harming someone, therefore it is not like constitutionally sound. But with specifically terrorizing, you are just speaking, right? They
Yeah.
basically outlawed shit talking.
Well, so
Yeah,
for
and so
terrorizing-
but you have to, like that's a conversation, but there's also cases where you are disrupting people's ability to move freely. You're making people feel unsafe in public areas. So there's considerations on both sides
true.
for something like this.
Hey,
It's
Josh,
just
show
what I
me
would
something.
imagine it is. What up?
Should making someone uncomfortable in public be a crime?
I mean, if it makes them legitimately like fear for their life and not do something that they'd otherwise would,
That's different.
I'd say it
Fear
could
for
be.
your life is actually one of those self-defense things.
Yeah.
Well, so
that-
if you threaten
that's not
someone
what's
credibly
uncomfortable
enough,
for.
isn't that kind of what terrorizing is?
Well, terrorist threats is also already illegal. So exactly where are you trying to draw the line here? Uncomfortable is just uncomfortable, sir. Be uncomfortable.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's what people are getting arrested for making people uncomfortable.
Yeah, pretty much, right. And we already have a law for that. That's called disorderly conduct most of the time, right? Disorderly conduct, which I'm also opposed to, but what the hell ever. Doesn't matter. Like a crime should only be committed if someone is actually being harmed. Okay?
There's a victim.
There's actually a victim.
I mean, if you're disorderly conduct, like you're making the public space worse for everyone. Like you're kind of victimizing a lot of people at once.
Can words victimize people?
I don't know what the law is, so I defer to whatever the law is on that. I don't know like what the legal precedent of it is, and it seems like they can. Seems like there is legal precedent that words can.
Well, there's legal
people.
precedent, but on a philosophical level, do you think words can hurt people?
I mean, the league. Okay, personally, so I'm not going to dodge the question. So personally, I would say, yeah, words can hurt people. I don't really know what example I'd use, so I'm not super confident on that. But like, I think I need to dwell on that a little bit to like really think through like what my take on it. But it seems like society as a whole has found enough examples that we kind of have codified it into law. That's the fact that it's codified into law makes me lean toward that. I'd probably be able to find a personal example where I felt like you could be victimized with words, but I don't know for sure.
let me answer because Ivory Fool's fumbling this. So and no offense to you, but you are fumbling this pretty
What
bad.
did I say that was wrong?
Words, because words absolutely can hurt people. If like let's just imagine I was a former Navy SEAL. I'm not a veteran, but let's imagine I
really?
saw myself as some kind of badass, and the way I wanted to live with you was to threaten you all the time. You have to become this offensive, defensive, oppositional machine in order to live with someone like me. Now, it seems fair to say that taking away someone's ability to control how their mind works, to take away their freedom of feeling safe so they can pursue what they want to, because we live in a society, does constitute a form of someone's natural rights being violated.
What do you think natural rights are, sir?
Yeah.
Well, by Lockean definition, it is life, liberty, and what is it? What is it? Life, liberty, and property.
You think nature gives you the right to life?
What do you know about nature? I don't think you know anything about
You
nature.
You said natural law.
You said natural law, and I get where he's
natural
going.
law is John Locke, dude. Read a book.
I don't care about John. I don't care about John.
Ask one of your inmates to read to lend you out their copy.
I've read Locke.
A social contract.
I've read Locke and I've read Locke and I've read Nietzsche. So
you wouldn't which
one do you think? Which one do you think I abide by more?
I don't know you, so I like Nietzsche. I like the Antichrist. But I'm not that, postmodern. I'm a little more conservative.
Natural law, natural law is something that Nietzsche made up, because if you actually look at what rights that you have within nature, you have the right to death, sir.
I'm not going to listen to you.
That's
you
all.
Don't know what you're talking
about.
That
is all nature provides for you. That will happen 1,000%. Everything else.
I'm still not going to listen to anything you have to say.
Okay, because I'm right. Because I'm right.
Why are we talking about? What? So what would happen if cities didn't pass laws about these illegal things that you don't think should be illegal, but they pass laws about other things? Why can't they do that?
Sorry, repeat the question.
So you have issues with cities making disorderly conduct or terrorizing was what you said, making that illegal and using police to enforce that. So what if police enforced things that weren't in a gray area or weren't in a red area for you, that cross a line into not actually unconstitutional, but there were things that the cities they enforced certain things?
We have to go off of what we know currently right now, right? A lot of these cities will create unconstitutional laws. If there is an apparatus that is creating unconstitutional laws, right? I would rather throw those out.
So let's say the citizens of the city come together, they vote in a representative, and that representative says this is now illegal and we're going to use police to enforce it. This is not something that's federally or state illegal or even county illegal, but I'm not 100% sure if this is how it works, but and so now that we've decided this and it went through the courts, and the courts were like, yeah, this is constitutional. So why shouldn't that be allowed?
Yeah. You can democratically become under tyranny. So
right, no, but what is inherently tyrannical about that?
You said that if they all come together, right, and decide that, right,
because
obviously
people voted
not
the
everyone's
representatives
going to
in, and the representatives made a decision.
Right. Can you freely go to that city?
Yeah, why not?
Right. If you are visiting that city, did you vote on that law?
I guess not.
Right. Give me somebody. These people are all being very boring, and I want to be mean to them. But I'm the host, and I'm not allowed to be mean to them. Give me some money.
I think I was plenty mean to Duck there, not going to lie.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm not drinking, so I'm not going to roast Duck. But it's really hard not to go at some of his purposes, and the way he's moving his stuff around on his screen makes me want to give him an even smaller screen to play with.
You're mean to everyone when you drink, dude. You're on my stream yesterday, and you were being mean to everyone.
Was I savage? I would apologize, but I'm not that type of creature, sir. I probably
know.
meant it. You should probably hate harder.
I mean, you weren't really meaning to me by
Hatred
that
is the
much,
most
though.
powerful force.
So
Squatch,
what
you're the
was
least
the
you're the least
what
hateful host I've
uh,
ever seen. Sorry, my bad.
it's
It's
okay.
the icons talking. It's not me. It's not me.
I no
My bad.
worries. What was the I guess the ground for this discussion? What I mean, because it's
All right.
jumped around a little.
We were saying
It's-
so. Bumpkin
hold
was
on,
saying
hold on.
that
Let me
that
cover it
police
from the
should be
top.
abolished in favor of sheriffs, and that cities shouldn't have their own police.
Okay, say it one more time. I missed the beginning.
City police department should be abolished, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but should be abolished in favor of county sheriffs, and that cities shouldn't have their own police, and it should all just be like county sheriffs.
That's the statement. That's what y'all
Well,
are debating.
and then the extension of that is because cities don't have police, they can't like enforce their own laws.
Yes, it would be strictly via the county.
Hold on. First of all, sir, they're not enforcing laws; they're enforcing policies and ordinance.
and
Yes.
feelings.
I mean, I don't know. Like, does city law not exist? I don't know how that works. I've never
They
actually looked into
they
this.
do abide by, you know, the run of the mill laws that counties do. They do have overlaps there, yes, but a lot of their laws are just city policies. Like, for
Okay, yeah.
instance, loud brakes getting you pulled over, or not driving, you know, a motorized
Wait, okay,
vehicle on the
so
side
let me
of the law.
because you mentioned how that visitors of a city don't have the didn't have a say in the ordinances. So like, if you don't like certain ordinances of a city, why not just not go to that city?
Have you ever tried to look up all the ordinances of a city before you visit it?
No, but I mean, I don't know all the
It is
laws of my
madness.
county.
It is
Like, it's-
madness, bro. Let's say
But
you're
saying that cities
hold
have
on.
way more ordinances than a county has laws, or like the state has laws. Is that the idea?
Mostly, yes.
Well, the
Okay.
ordinances
I mean,
are in
that's fair.
addition to.
The ordinance
I mean,
are
okay,
addition to.
so let me okay, but I mean, I don't know, like I've never really had an issue with like breaking the law or like breaking an ordinance. Like,
I mean, neither have I, but that's because genuinely I abide by the law. But for instance, right, a big culture shock for me was when I moved from the West Coast to the Midwest. I moved from a mutual combat state into a not a mutual combat state, and that was a big.
what is a mutual
big-
combat state? I've never heard of it.
Why, dude? Can you explain to me how it was that you lived in a place that lets people fight? How is that like a drastic life change? I don't like and this is coming from a guy I wrestled, so I spent 2 to 3 hours every day in a 90-degree room combating other dudes. I've trained MMA.
You're getting me aroused, Duck. Get to the point.
That's the point. Is I mean that is so different than me. It blows my mind. I want to hear what that is like, where you wake up and you want to go fight people.
No, it's not that you want to go fight people, although I do know a few people like that, and I'm sure Bumpkin does too. But I mean, it has to do with fighting words, and this is one of those points where you would want to say that words hurt people, but in reality, words can't make you do anything. Right? Deception can. People can use words deceptively to make you think you have to do a thing, but you are the one who's ultimately responsible for your choices.
So back in Washington State, as much as I hate that place, it was like one of the only good laws they actually had. At the end of the day, right? If someone talks shit enough, you'd be like, all right, I'm gonna call a sheriff over here. I'm gonna call a PD or whatever. It's a mutual combat state. We're gonna fight. Right. And if they back down from that, obviously, then, they're a pussy. But still, at the end of the day, that option is there. Right. When there is no option for that being there, it's just eh.
But if I don't want to fight
Well, it is a
because
state
I'm
law,
like,
though,
okay,
so
what if
not a
I
city
say I
thing.
legit don't? I tell you, I legit don't want to fight just
But the
because I
county,
don't want
the
to get
county
hurt.
sheriffs are here by state law.
I don't want to get hurt
Yeah.
one way or another. I know I'm going to get hurt. That's that to me, that's problematic. No offense, but like I just don't want to get hurt, and I don't want to hurt someone. That's not like what I think about when I wake up.
Well, I
No,
see
don't
you.
talk
I
shit.
was saying, like, is there an example of like
What up,
this
baby?
is something I would just normally do, and like and then like if I'm going around respecting other people who respect me, and then is there any city where I'd accidentally break an ordinance and like cause myself significant damage?
Wait, sorry, what was that?
So like let's take a very basic heuristic. Like I'm gonna respect people, treat people with respect that respect me. Is there any city that I go to where I can break an ordinance just inadvertently without really knowing it ahead of time?
You're talking
and
about making
then-
a mistake, fool. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you're just talking about making a mistake, right? You can know the laws,
Sure,
you can
but
know how to
the point
protect
that
your property and not
Bumpkin was saying
devalue
that
it.
Bumpkin was saying that like there are so many ordinances that people can't know ahead of time, and then they'll get caught on these like frivolous ordinances that are tyrannizing people and unfairly reducing their freedoms. And it's like, well, if people are just going around respecting each other, what is a city or an ordinance that would catch someone and then like really make their life significantly worse?
Let's look up a random town. I just looked up or a random city. I looked up Miami, Florida. All right, city ordinances.
Dude,
Boom.
are you tried out for the Mr. Clean Man?
Fuck yeah, hell yeah, always,
Yeah,
sir.
baby.
Well, let me explain laws. Not even all the cops know all the laws of all the lands of every state and every city, of every county, of every parish in this world. They don't even know all of everything that's going on. You break laws in front of them, they have no clue that you're even breaking the laws right in front of them. This is the problem, is that they've created. We went from our Bill of Rights, which was 10. Now there's 1.3 million different laws on the books. Now, out of that 1.3 million different laws that are on the books, you have gray areas between those 1.3 million different laws that are on the books and ordinances. Those gray areas now bump it up to about 7.8 million different laws that you can be breaking at any time, any given state, county,
But
parish.
bro, what is the name of the document though that keeps people safe from unjust laws? Do you know the name of the document?
The name of the document that keeps people. Well, I mean, we should follow the first original laws of the land.
I mean, I can compromise here. Like I could say, like, if you want a state or the federal government to pass an amendment or something, a law that says cities can't create ordinances that like do specific things that are unfair, and if you want to try to do that, like that's like I'm not on principle opposed to that. I'm just saying, like,
I mean, yeah, well, I mean, you're going against the government. They're going to create laws whether you want them created or not. They're going to create ordinances.
If there's a federal law that says a city can't make a law about terrorizing, then it would get, if a city tried to make an ordinance about terrorizing, it would get struck down in court.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's against terrorizing, I mean, you shouldn't be terrorizing anybody. But you know what I mean? It depends on if that terrorizing, it depends on if that terrorizing falls in between freedom of speech. A lot of people think that people are being terrorized, but they're not being terrorized. The only thing somebody's using is absolutely, which is the First
That's
Amendment.
what I'm saying.
Which is
like, if the federal government says all cities are going to err on the side of not being tyrannical and therefore not having terrorizing laws or terrorizing ordinances, like I'm not.
You realize the government is
the
biggest terrorist of the world, right? They're going to arrest you.
Wait, hang on.
Because they have a thing called qualified immunity.
How else would you abolish
immunity.
city police if not through federal or state mandate or county mandate? How else would you abolish city police?
How would you abolish? I mean, we've been working on it for a while. We've been working on getting, all of these extra laws, out of the books. You know what I mean? And what do you know? They add another one. You know what I mean? For every one that we try to get them to quit using their qualified immunity to knock stuff out of the books, they're just adding stuff right on the top of, they're just adding stuff right on the top of that. So you're not going to necessarily get anything knocked out of the books. You're not going to get none of these city ordinances knocked out of the books. They're going to continue doing it because in the end, they're making money. And that's what they're looking at. They're looking for that power and they're looking for that money.
How would you fix that if you're not getting power in the city itself? How do you prevent cities from doing that?
Everything's been tried to be knocked down. All of these new policies.
I gotta run, guys. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a good conversation.
All right,
Take
brother.
care. Bye.
Be good, Doug.
Yeah. Yeah, people got to realize. I mean, you can't knock all this stuff out of the books. I mean, they're going to continue doing what they're going to do because they're continuously making money.
Well, I'm saying, like, what is your plan of action to fix this?
Keep on exposing the bad that they do and make people wake up and realize what's really going on.
Hold on a second.
Okay,
Let's do some introductions. The Ivory Fool, this is truth be told audits. He actually follows cops around to make sure that they're abiding by their own ordinances and the laws.
That's based. That's hella
Right?
I'm currently on 8 cops.
It's a body cam.
I've had 8 cops fired. Well, I've had 8 cops fired. I've had 2 Denham Springs cops fired. I've had 3 Walker cops fired. This is all here in Louisiana. I've had 1 Texas cop fired. I've had 2 Baton Rouge cops fired, 2 New Roads cops fired. And, and the only thing I did was just expose them. I exposed what they were doing wrong. And I let the American people, which is also to petition your government under regressive grievances under the First Amendment, they had to be fired. Now, did they get fired from this police department, move down the street to the next police department? Oh, yeah, sure. You know what I mean? But it's moving them around. It's making them think twice before they do it. But is that stopping them? No, they're going to continue doing what they're going to do.
What kind of things were they doing that you were exposing?
Stopping people like the ones I got fired here in Denham Springs. They stopped me illegally. I was driving around 3:30 in the morning out cop watching anyways, and they decided to stop me in the middle of the night for no reason. So he says I was veering within my lane, which you're allowed to veer within your lane. You're allowed to avoid potholes and all this other stuff. And I tried to explain this to this cop, when he stopped me, I don't put up with their stuff. You know what I mean? I'm immediately going to put them back in their place. I'm immediately going to let them know what they're doing is wrong. And what I do is just expose what's really going on out here in this world. And I put it out there on video. Now, it is under the First Amendment. There's 5 freedoms under the First Amendment. There's 5 elements of the First Amendment. And what I try to get people to do is wake up. I'm very awoke. I'm very, I try to expose what's going on in this world.
He's awoke, right?
This guy's the woke rate for sure.
This one motherfucker over here is causing all this problem. It's you, dude.
But I think that's really cool that you're able to do that.
We have to do it, but what we do is, as auditors, we go expose what's really going on. But our channels, what I mean, there's several hundred auditing channels, but what we're out there doing is showing what's really going on. We're trying to put the Bill of Rights and the Constitution back in play that the government and everybody else has knocked out a long time ago. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to put all this back in play to make them realize that, we are trying to get people. But, since our channel started coming out, about 10 years ago, it's become really strong in the last, what do you say, Sasquatch, about 5-6 years, it's gotten pretty strong out here, exposing these, exposing cops. But believe it or not, I always get asked the question, do you think that you were doing any good with our channels? Yes and no, because they've already gotten so used in their routine to doing what they want, people just bowing down, doing what they tell people to do, doing what they, they're so used to this that, that they're trained to do it. You know what I mean? There's several auditors that's asked cops, what's the First Amendment? What do you swear an oath to protect? And out of 87 cops that I have asked personally, not one cop has been able to tell me what they swore an oth to protect. Not one.
Yeah,
That's scary.
I'm
bro.
100% on board with getting police to be more competent, and whatever it takes to do that. More funding, more training, better holding them to a higher standard. I think that's all. This all sounds very good to me.
But the thing is I think the biggest problem with law enforcement this day and age is, I believe people want to become cops to do the right thing. They want to go catch criminals. But they don't realize, shall I say, when they become a cop, they become part of that thin blue line, and all of a sudden they're order followers at that point. So they go on to do the right thing, but try to catch a cop stopping another cop from doing something bad to somebody. You're not going to, because they're not going to go against that thin blue line. I've done stories out in Gonzales, Louisiana, where a cop turned in his sergeant for kicking somebody while he was in handcuffs, which follows the 8th Amendment. There's no cruel or unusual punishment under the 8th Amendment that you cannot be, kicked or beat up while you're in custody. Now, he ended up getting fired because he turned his sergeant in for kicking the guy while he was in handcuffs. All of a sudden, this cop that did the right thing, all of a sudden they started putting dead rats and feces in his locker at work. They stopped refusing to go for a call for backup for service when he had somebody stopped. They completely quit helping this guy out. He was eventually fired, and they tried to put him even into an insane asylum for turning in his sergeant. So the biggest problem is, once you become a cop, you're an order follower at that point. You go on to do the right thing, but then you realize doing the right thing is only going to get you punished by your own people that you work with. That's scary. That's scary. That is one of the major problems.
Yeah, because they're protecting the system. They're not following the Constitution, not doing what's right. It's just protecting the system. And the system is tyrannical. And they're using these policies, statutes, codes, and even laws against their own people. It's not about protection. They're the ones who are terrorizing the people with those laws.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to figure, I mean, every cop that gets sworn in, you know what I mean? It's somebody reading something to them, and they're just putting up their right hand, you know, swearing an oath to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights that they're supposed to be going in doing the right thing. But not one cop knows it off the top of their head. It's always something that is being read to them. They're just sitting there with their hand up, repeating whatever somebody's telling them to say. And then they become, you know what I mean? But nobody's actually learning their oath. No, none of these cops anymore are learning the oath that they're swearing an oath to protect our rights. You know what I mean? They have no clue what our rights are anymore. That's, of course, you know, everything that I'm naming off is just some of the top facts and some of the scary stuff that's going on that makes law enforcement, even if somebody broke in your house, by the time the cops get there, you're going to be dead on the floor. They're going to be having to call a coroner to come pick you up off the floor, because cops, you know what I mean? They don't even arrive at your house on time whenever you need them. So, but what they're doing now is, you know, oh, you got a cracked windshield. Oh, you got a turn signal out. Oh, you veered barely, very slowly into your lane. You know what I mean?
Literally bounce a tennis ball to my local police department, and when I had a fender bender in my backyard, it took 25 minutes to get a guy over here.
And instead of going to that tennis ball, they were messing with somebody on the street for having a cracked windshield.
Yeah,
or too much.
Has anything I said that you kind of disagreed with? Because I feel like we're kind of on the same wavelength here.
Yeah, but you know, it's the wavelength is out. I mean, there is no true law enforcement anymore. You know what I mean? They don't even know what our rights are. You know what I mean? That's something that number one goal of a cop is to support and, you know, represent our rights.
I don't know if cops ever were like super aware of the Constitution. Has that ever been the case?
You know, I'm coming up on 50 years old, and I've never known it. But you know what has happened before my time? You know what I mean? I have no clue. There's record and documentation, you know, that cops used to know, but you know what I mean? Now they're overstaffed, and you know they're not being trained right. You know, they're they're overstaffed. I believe every police department is overstaffed. You know what I mean? Because they sit on the side of the road, and they're looking for people to mess up. You know what I mean? When true cops are supposed to be out there finding the real criminals, finding rapists, murderers, and killers. You know what I mean? Now, you know what I mean, there's detectives working these cases, but you know, like even here in Baton Rouge where I live, you know what I mean? 87% of the crimes are unsolved. 87%. That's a high number, bro. That's a pretty high number of cases unsolved. So when the cops do come to your house to make a report of somebody breaking into your house, you have an 87% chance that person will never be caught, because that cop's going to then, you know, take your report. He's going to go out there and he's going to pull somebody over for, you know, not using a turn signal.
Do you know what the average is for cold cases?
Oh, it's getting worse by the day. I mean, I don't have exactly, you know, I know more numbers where I live, not every 50 state that's out there, and every every parish or county that's out there. I mean, the numbers are getting worse, and it's funny that the numbers are getting worse, but yet there's more cops being hired. Do the math on that one just by itself. You know what I mean? It's nothing's being done like it should be. You know what I mean? At this point,
I mean, if it makes you feel better,
the criminals are getting away, and they're making money. You know what I mean? They would rather harass somebody for, you know, making a simple traffic violation than, you know, catching the real criminals.
I don't know about like suburbia and rural areas, but I know there's like a bunch of reporting about how cities are getting a lot safer. Like Baltimore is near historic lows for violent crime, and it's like it's a similar case for a lot of different cities. in the last couple of years. That's pretty. It's
But who
so,
says?
you know,
But who says any of these numbers are right that they're putting out? Nobody.
I
Nobody
think
knows.
there are watchdog
Nobody
groups
knows
like
the exact numbers that are
there are people
even
like
being
you
put
doing
out.
the auditing, doing the good work. I'd assume. I'd have to look into it, but yeah, I mean, what can we do if the numbers themselves are wrong?
Yeah, well, I mean, nobody's ever going to know the exact numbers on what's being actual solved, and you know what I mean. But 87%, you know, I mean, nobody's ever going to know the true numbers. Nobody's ever going to know the true numbers. But what
I think
needs
we
to
get
be
pretty
done
close
is
now.
they need to be focused on the people that are actually committing crimes instead of harassing the people that are trying to go to work, support their kids, raise their kids right, take them to school. You know what I mean? But if you slip up and you very, you know, you go 3 or 4 miles over the speed limit, that's a $50 ticket. There goes your kid's birthday present. You know what I mean? I mean, it's stupid the way that they're trying to run this country and trying to it's a money game, bro. It's all it is. It's money and power game. And that's what I try to stress more than anybody, you know, to everybody is it's a money power game is all it is. And that's why I'm saying, you know, police departments are overstaffed. You know what I mean? They always say that they're always hiring and stuff like that, but even cops that get fired from departments, they move to the next department. You know what I mean? There's always going to be something going on somewheres that doesn't need to be handled the way that it is. People, you know, we're supposed to be free in this country.
So
and
what do you
freedom's
think
gone.
stops people from banding together to deal with this issue? Like, what's stopping the citizens from saying enough is enough?
Fluoride in the water.
Yeah, fluoride in the water. Yeah. Fluoride in the what stops people? I mean, it's some people. Let me explain. Some people in this world think the government can't do no wrong. Some people think that the government's right on track and they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be, and that's not the truth at all. You know what I mean? What's going to ban people? You know, I believe that we are waking up people and making them realize what's really going on. You know what I mean?
So,
but what's going to ban? Not everybody's always going to be on the same page, bro. Not everybody's.
What I'm hearing from you is that polarization is a big problem. That if that the people that ought to see the same problems that you're seeing seem to be biased against like the facts that you're seeing day to day, and that's pretty fucked up. And so I think people should be more open-minded to people that, you know, disagree with them about the Second Amendment, because like the Second Amendment isn't really relevant here. Like we're talking about cops breaking First Amendment, like violating First Amendment rights, violating Eighth Amendment rights. Like whether or not we agree on the Second Amendment doesn't mean that we can't listen to each other and talk to one another. So I mean, I think like, and so I guess if I had to answer Sasquatch's question from earlier, I don't think it's unique, but my big thing is all about polarization. I think that people should really be able to talk to one another and care about each other regardless of different political
It's the way
views.
it's supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to be. I mean, the Bible and our Constitution all talks about we're all created equal. There's not one person in this world that's above another person. Not one person. We should all be created.
I'm taller than you, sir. I'm taller than you.
Yeah.
I'm taller than you. That makes me better.
The problem is that it's democracy.
You wish. You're hairier.
You know, having again that polarization, it's all because of democracy, right? People have gone away from people's sovereign rights. If it was a constitutional republic where the natural law was actually adhered to, you wouldn't need all these statute policies and codes. Then, you know, that would be just people's inherent rights. And then when you add in democracy, now you got one side imposing a bunch of rules and laws, and then the other one wins, and it's back and forth, and nothing ever gets solved. Only government, the beast, continues to feed, get bigger and bigger, while everybody keeps losing their rights.
Let me ask you this: so if you don't have democracy, though, how do you deal with like oppression over the long term? Right? Like if you have like a king, wouldn't there be oppressed groups that the king doesn't like, or the king's faction doesn't like?
What he's trying.
There's always going to be disagreements.
What he's trying to say is that we live in a constitutional republic, which is a form of a democracy, but pretty much lately it's just been, or how it's turned out is just a more towards a direct democracy, right, Rez?
Yeah, 100% direct democracy, but democracy is also mob rule. So if you've got a situation where they want to impose, medical
Well, how do you feel about
tyranny,
juries? How do you feel about juries?
jury of your own people, yeah, that's something that obviously has
Like,
worked. But if
would you rather have judges decide if someone's a criminal, or would you rather have a jury decide if someone's a criminal?
I think
I'd
a jury
rather have a jury.
much
Yeah,
better than a judge.
yeah, all the
Right.
all the
Okay.
way.
So what is the difference between juries and democracy versus kings or like a single party, or like constant party and a judge?
You have more than one person thinking about what your case, how it should be handled. You know what I mean? That's why the juries have to be, they all have to be copacetic on what they decide on in the end on a case. Compared to one person, judges are supposed to know all the laws, and we know the judges don't know all the laws. You know what I mean? They would have to go research, but you know what I mean. They always say, the verdict on the verdict on the jury. You know what I mean? People realize that people do mess up, and people do things, not knowing that they're breaking the laws and stuff like that. That's why I'd rather have.
Let me take a swing at this one. All right. I'd be more partial to a jury, because I believe a group of people will adjudicate with more wisdom than a single individual. A single individual may be incentivized through the system in ways that you can't see.
What about a panel of judges or lawyers? People that are experts in law. Like you have a panel of people experts in law rather than a jury of your peers.
But won't they be incentivized to make more people that are lawbreakers for the revenue generation? I mean, that's kind of what we're arguing about here when it comes down to it, is like financing the judicial system through the education.
I mean, you can make the same argument about kings, that kings would be incentivized to.
That's the definition of tyranny, my boy.
Well, but the thing that I'm pushing back against here is the claim that democracy is is a root cause of polarization.
I don't know about that. I don't necessarily agree with that. Polarization takes place in any dichotomous community. There'll be people that are for and people who are against, so you can divide them down that line in every case.
Yeah, I mean, but this is the reason why I brought up juries is because I was trying to think about because I think we intuitively understand that juries generally get the answer correct, and that there's something really good about a jury of your peers, and I think the American democracy is I have good feelings about it. I think because for a similar reason that I have good feelings about juries. That's why I was kind of making that comparison.
So do you judge these things on how you feel about them?
That's where I start, but then after I figure out how I feel about it, then I go and look at the evidence.
Oh, so are you confirmation biasing your feelings when you do it that way?
Well, I try to be open-minded to what people are saying. Like, I'm not just going to say I felt this way and therefore I'm only going to agree with evidence that matches my conclusion or my initial feeling.
Captain's not here, Gary. I'm just playing his video from earlier.
Do I want to do the democracy's gay bit again, or do I want to just shut up? I think I'm just going to shut up.
I'm curious.
What choices do we actually have in the current democratic system? It's left or right, but both left and right are controlled by the same thing. So there isn't actually any choice. So we have an illusion of democracy, and it just goes from one side to another when only tyranny wins in the current system.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think we should have more direct democracy. I think that we should have more. I think it should be more democratic, less representative. That way, we can kind of avoid this tyranny.
So, are you voting with the sheep or the wolves?
Say that one more time.
Are you voting with the sheep or the wolves? Direct democracy is two wolves. Direct democracy is two wolves and a sheep trying to decide what's for dinner. That is direct democracy.
Well, why are we characterizing direct
democracy? Let me restate this. Direct democracy is the method by which the 51% disenfranchise the 49%.
Well, so I don't think we should literally have direct democracy. I'm saying we should move a little bit closer. Like I think we're too far on the side of like this like single party rule where like they're both kind of the same thing. Like I
agree with you on that one.
Yeah, I think that's a fine way to look at the current state of the system. Like I think that everyone, whether you're left or right, feels like government is having a legitimacy crisis. That it doesn't feel like government is legitimately representing the people. And I don't think that's a partisan take. I think that's people feel that way on both the left and the right, and I think that's very valid. And I want to try to figure out how to solve it. I think polarization and trying to reduce polarization is a really good way to solve that. But I know people disagree with me.
How does okay, I get how discussion can reduce polarization, but how do you get at the meat and drink of that issue? I mean, is it not just the seeds of balkanization? I mean, the us versus
you have to like
concept.
help me to understand what you mean by the seeds of balkanization.
Well, balkanization is where individual regions kind of diverge away political from other regions nearby. They just over time become less cohesive with one another for reasons, right? I mean, it can be all kinds of stuff. It can be our team's better than your team. It's just it's just another way to divide people, frankly.
I mean, I think what happens is when you have people have meaningful discussions with one another that are moderated and where people feel like they're being heard and have an opportunity to say what they think, and then have that be included in the outcome of the conversation, that people will often come closer together. I could probably I'm sure. I mean, I think I've seen it before, but I'm sure there's case studies and lab experiments where you have two people of differing views and come together and have a conversation, and then they come out of it with their views a little bit closer together. So if you want to have this more direct democracy approach, but you want to avoid balkanization, I think you really have to make sure that people are coming together and actually talking and deliberating, just like juries do.
Getting everybody to be on the same page is next to
Article
impossible.
5, constitutional conventions. Article 5, constitutional conventions. That actually brings the people to actually come from all the different places in a convention where normal people's voices are heard. I believe it's Article 5, constitutional conventions.
Yeah, I'm
something
all for
that could help fix the problem.
Yeah, actually, one thing that I'm really interested in doing is there's a concept called deliberative democracy where you do caucuses and things like this, where you have people deliberate on an issue and you come up with a policy proposal, and it's all driven by citizen input. And saying like, okay, what if we created a policy platform or a couple policies, and then we went and canvassed people and said, what do you think of this? Like, this is something that your peers came up with, and then say, what issue, what do you want people to be thinking about? What's your issue? And then say like, Bob down the street came up with this, and then let's invite that person to join the next deliberation. I'm really interested in trying that out and seeing like, are there ways that we can get people involved more in these conversations, and have their voice be directly tied to policy that's getting proposed, rather than it be, it's just representatives that are coming up with the same.
I think there's a problem with that. Look how many people are in the world. Getting everybody on the same page is never going to be part of anything that's ever going to go on anymore. Everybody's going to have their own opinions. Everybody, was raised differently, being taught different things as they were being, grown up in life. You know what I mean? Nobody's ever going to be on the same page. Nobody ever. You know what I mean? I mean, everybody has their own thoughts and their own opinions. You know what I mean? That's where religion comes in. You know what I mean? Everybody should know the difference between right and wrong, but do they follow the right and wrong? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
not everybody's always going to be on the
saying
same
I got to
page.
prove it, but I think I'm down to try. Like I'm not going to sit here and be naive and say, of course it'll work. It has to work, but I think it's worth trying.
Well, yeah, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to wake people up. We're trying to get everybody, as many people as we can on the same page to start getting people back on track. But nobody, I mean, I've asked several people, you know, if they even know what cop watching and First Amendment audits are. A lot of people don't even know what it is because a lot of people are unawoke of what's really going on. They think that the world's turning the way that it's supposed to be turning and have not a clue that it's not even doing, that's even going in the right direction. You know what I mean? It's just everybody gets in line and they follow that line because they think that's the way that they're supposed to be going. Everybody's supposed to have their own opinions. You know, that's why we have free will. You know what I mean? And getting everybody on the same page is gonna be next to impossible.
But I think we can get down to pretty basic agreements in any event. Like "Thou shalt not kill" was a pretty good one. I don't know who coined that one, but that was pretty good.
The 10 Commandments. Yeah, thou shalt not kill. Honor thy father. You know what I mean? All that's in the commandments. You know what I mean?
I'm pretty sure it was a good idea long before it became a commandment. I'm just saying, like, this is one of those things all societies kind of have to get over: is don't kill your neighbor without damning your religion.
Have you heard of communitarianism, where the needs of the many outweigh people's sovereign or individual rights? And it seems like that's the way the government has moved to, where people's own body autonomy, if people think that, you know, and people voted democratically that people should have some kind of medical experiment because it's better for for everybody, then does that mean if it's democratically voted that everybody's got to now inject this poison into them?
Yes, we are not doctors, and this is not medical advice.
We are not lawyers.
I'm not following the logic of how, like, okay, if we let some people take hormones, that means that now everyone is taking hormones. I'm not following how that follows from what one thing follows from the other.
It's what they're being taught, bro. It's what they're being taught. They hear something, they think it's true. They're gonna stick with that, what they think is the truth. You know, as far as, you know, I believe people should be able to do what
let's say
they're
we
going to
don't
do.
teach it in schools, but let's say we kind of like we present it to people as an option. Is that okay? Like, just like here's the information on both sides, and you decide what you think is best for you.
Are you familiar with Operation Mockingbird?
No, I don't think so.
All right, hold on.
Here we go.
So
there you go. And by the way, hello, Ajod. I saw you in the chat. I'm gonna be seeing y'all in 2 weeks. So I'm coming to San Antonio and we're meeting up.
She was on panel and you didn't even say hi.
I barely jumped in right as she got off. I barely just clicked on YouTube and was able to see her, and I just saw her in chat. So that's why off the camera, because I had to go in and see what's up, see who was all in chat. And yeah, I'm fixing to start getting back out. I've had an 8-month break. I can't lie. I had a major motorcycle accident and I've been unable to use my left leg. Now I can resurface my foot into some tyrannical booties again, and I plan on getting back out. So
thank God you took out the tinfoil hat. Now I can hit your brain with rays.
Yeah, no, I'm not protection, sir. You're not going to get me.
You're on what?
I brought protection, sir. You're not going to get me.
Calling your thick ass school protection that's not proper.
My tinfoil hat protects me from all your stupid bullshit. You're going to come pour a honey potion in my ear and I'll wake up screaming, Republic, Republic, Republic.
Do you think the U.S. government has a gay ray?
Kind of hope so.
I think they've zapped quite a few people already. I think that's scary too. Mm-hmm.
I think that's terrifying, bro. Yo, shoot me in the head. Do not hit me with that ray, dude.
I got time.
Are you using tinfoil or aluminum foil there, Sasquatch?
You got me there, bro. You got me.
He likes the color of aluminum, all right? Leave him alone.
Hey, Bumpkin, you got a channel link you can drop backstage?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Super cool. Joe, cool, baby. How's your wife and my kids, bro?
Yeah. Condoms definitely need to be resurfaced again, because I haven't seen Joe in forever, man. I hope you're doing well too, bro. So
it's because he don't like you.
Oh, he loves me.
I'm just
I've
joking,
been wanting. It seems like every time he hits a city, I leave that city, and it sucks because that's one man I want to go hang out with. And he was in San Antonio, and I missed him by a week, and it sucks. It really does. It sucks.
Did Ivory bounce out?
I guess so.
Hey, thanks for
There he
coming.
is, and he's back.
Oh, okay.
Well, his show technically ended 57 minutes ago or so. I don't know. It's been a minute, but the general show goes for about 2 hours unless we're having an absolute blast. He seems to be having fun, so I've been letting it go.
No, I'm having a great time.
That's cool.
Welcome
I dropped that one waiting for him to drop his link.
The U.S. government most definitely has a gay bomb. Oh no!
Absolutely.
Oh,
Or he's dropped in L.A.
he dropped in L.A. That's like,
I figure LA is like the human version of the rat utopia experiment where the beautiful ones all segregated themselves to their own place.
To the land of Sasquatches.
dude. I
mean, you got to admit, Hollywood's gone way, way afield. Like, it's almost not even America. Like, you can drive there, but that doesn't make it one of us.
I would never go there.
I don't. All right, so Captain Curmudgeon is in Northern California. So if I'm going to see that cracker, I'm probably going to have to go there, right?
I do call him Cracker.
Have you seen him?
No, I haven't.
He looks like a walking saltine. The dude's whiter than Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
And I like the guy. Don't misunderstand him. He reminds me of like he does these rants, these intro monologues that are half rant, half monologue, and he does them very much like a young Dennis Miller used to, and I love it.
All right.
That's fair. My suggestion to you would be stay on the highway and go through that section of California as fast as possible. That's how I treated Seattle every time I lived in Washington. If I had to drive through Seattle, I stayed on the highway. I would not get off for gas. I would not get off for food. I would never leave the highway as soon as I hit that little section that was Seattle. That's the best course of action. I can't stand Seattle.
Right.
I think Seattle might be worse than California, honestly.
Well, Seattle's another one of those places that kind of don't represent any aspect of America, you know?
Yeah.
They've kind of abdicated their their American rights to live in the socialist hellscape for the most part. I mean,
the only time I ever really visited Seattle is when I was younger. I went to Pike Place Market, and when I was older, I went to Chaz.
You have a very balanced view of Seattle.
I'm a little bit pissed off that my high school guidance counselor didn't tell me that Warlord was an option.
Yeah, no, right? Right.
If I had thought that was a possibility, bro, we could have started this career a lot earlier.
Dude, there was a rapper. I witnessed it, bro. He was walking around with guns. He had his entourage, bro. He said, "Oh, there's a place that the police won't go to. Oh, okay, let me roll up." He rolled up with like 8 other dudes, and they all had ARs. And they're like, "We run this now." And I'm like.
Well, no, seriously. This is what a disarmed population will get you.
Yeah.
Like, if you're just not capable of acquiring a firearm in an area and some guys that have firearms show up, the only hope you have is the police. Have you ever seen Demolition Man?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. That level of that's what Seattle's trying to become, is like this super utopia, but they're doing it by abbreviating everyone's rights to such an extent that no one with half a brain would fucking live there.
Right. And for anyone that was for Ozjot for asking for my panel link, I am for sure shadow banned, homie. So you're going to have to check periodically if I'm streaming or not. I do stream quite often, but I've had several people tell me that they just straight up do not get the notification.
I have subscribed to the Ivory Fool twice and been unsubscribed once. I am both his second and third subscriber, I think. At this point. What up, Mikey? What up, baby? Is that you? Tell me some fat jokes.
How you,
Good enough.
yeah, I just woke up. My bad.
Hold on.
Oh, how do you
Yeah.
how you fuck a fat bitch? You roll her in flour and fuck the wet spots.
That's right.
There you go.
That
You slap her on the ass and ride the wave in.
Yeah, that's another good one. My favorite part is about being with a fat girl is it doesn't matter where you grab her, it all feels like a boob.
yeah, that's flubber rubber.
What up, Mikey?
You guys got some
Hey,
shit to argue with me about?
Sasquatch. All right. Like, no. Thank you for having me. Sorry for being random.
What's
Well,
on your
Duck
mind?
was here earlier, so it's not going to be, nearly that's far off base as you think it would.
Oh, you
Yeah.
met Duck? I'm sorry.
He met Duck here, so
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah.
All
There you
right.
go.
I beat Duck again. So
But last time I was on a paddle with Duck, I left to go get some rum, and I told everybody if we're going to have roast duck tonight, I need to be drinking. And I left to get rum. When I came back, he left. The second I sat down, turned and looked at everybody, was like, "All right, where are we at?" And he was like, "Well, I got something to go do."
Duck is very intelligent, but it comes out of his mouth in an esoteric form.
not even that,
True.
bro. Any dialectic that he doesn't agree with, he will not engage with, and it's actually super.
He just tells you you're wrong and then says the same thing he said before in a different way, which makes it completely illegible.
Yeah, it's like here's this philosophical dialectic that I don't agree with, and instead of debating on those principles, I'm just going to completely disengage with you. It's like, okay. It's like, well, all right. Kind of based, but whatever.
I mean, I had to debate him and Ryan. I had to debate him and Ryan at the same time.
Oh my god.
And it was beautiful.
At least like Ryan will land the plane.
Oh yeah. I'll give Ryan that. He's just a closeted Marxist that doesn't like when you call him a Marxist. But he'll say I'm left of a liberal, and I'm like, you mean a Marxist? He's like, no.
All right.
It does get
Doug,
harder to tell.
hold on. Doug once told me and went to kind of an extreme point to explain to me that he doesn't plan anything out past 24 hours because it doesn't exist. And I was like, okay, but not planning for more than 24 hours leaves you in a position of not knowing what the fuck you're talking about, bro. You can't even start a conversation. And I think I was drinking. I'm not going to deny it.
I mean,
But
from
I
a
think-
purely pragmatic point of view,
Can I
that's
throw you guys
understandable.
off? The
What?
Knicks are fucking winning. Sorry.
What'd you say, Mike?
The Knicks are fucking winning. Sorry.
Is that
I
a
didn't mean to
problem?
throw you guys off.
Oh, I was thrown off
Hold
by
on.
that first
Wait,
part. My
wait.
bad.
If the
No,
Knicks
NBA.
if
Sorry.
the Knicks win, do I get less money?
What do you mean,
If
Sasquatch?
the
So how
Knicks
much of our
lose-
vacation money did you bet on
yeah,
the game?
how much of our vacation money is in that game?
Oh no, I'm talking about like they haven't won since 1973. Well,
Mike,
I don't know about
you got to help me buy an RV, bro. I got to go kidnap Dusty. Somebody's got to give me some money. I'm
Yeah,
going
Mike,
to take that man. I'm going to take him by force mini golfing.
Mike, I'm soon to get monetized. I'm gonna need some super chats too. You can't spend all of your money. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
you can't be betting everything away. Where's the house? Where's the car? Where's the dog?
Well, right now they're in the lead. Come on, guys. Like,
I'm sorry, Jay. I'm sorry.
okay.
I could hear the anger off that comment.
It's a problem since I'm
There's
damn.
a problem since I'm like Celtic fan.
Are you
Sure.
also a Celtics fan? Mike?
Yeah, they lost to the but they won last year.
Have you ever
The
read
Knicks
the book of
the Knicks haven't won since 1973. Well, Sasquatch, I don't think you're that old. I don't think none of us we wasn't even born.
Who was it, that baseball team that
I
just
was
won
born
like
in
a couple years
73.
ago?
Oh, you were born in 73? Oh, so you probably was 1 year old.
Everyone here is old.
Oh,
I don't think the Ivory Fool is.
Damn.
I don't think that qualifies. He's old like non-Fon's old. You know,
I'm a little bit older than non-fun.
It's probably the
that.
dad was pissed.
I can tell
Hey,
too.
you know what? Get the fuck out of here.
You don't quote directly from Chat GPT. You actually have some free thoughts running around in your head up there. Haven't been.
I'm glad I come across that way.
Free thoughts. Who needs them?
Yeah, I mean,
Hey, hang on.
distance.
Free?
You would
Wait a
call them
second.
distance.
In my marketplace of ideas?
I'm just saying.
Sounds like communistic to me. I don't know.
Marketplace.
I don't know about free thoughts in my marketplace of ideas, bro. You gotta pay.
We do not have free will in our country. No, none of that here.
You know what? At least we're having fun. Fuck that.
I love these conversations.
Great.
Listen to this shit. Ardent Party says Boston, a town full of people claiming Irish ancestry that can't pronounce Celtic properly.
A more truer statement has never been spoken.
That's brilliant, dude. Still
fuck, you
grass
got me
on the
there.
table.
Sasquatch. Oh shit!
Damn.
My goodness. No, man.
Back to what we were talking about when the armed, isn't it statistically that a more armed society is a safer one? One that does not statistics can back that up.
It is a statistical fact that you missed a perfect opportunity to say an armed society is a polite society.
Well,
It was
what
said several
statistics
times
are
in
you
chat.
citing here specifically? Like what source?
Give me 1 sec, I can find you one. Right now, the source is I pulled it out of my ass or it came to me into a dream.
God damn it. Thank you, AJ. I love you.
I love James.
You're the one girl. And this bitch wants shots. Jesus Christ. I drank last night, yo.
I've been
Shouldn't do
drinking
this.
Sasquatch.
I smoked last
I've
night
been
for the
having
first time in
meetings.
forever, and I passed.
I've been
the fuck
having
out
so much
today.
meetings.
Dude, I got weed so fine you can taste the stardust. Don't fuck with me like that.
Okay, that's another reason for me to meet up with you. I already want to buy you a shot, but damn, that's
Dude,
even another reason.
You smoke my weed with me, you'll die poor, drunk, and lonely.
Next, in the next 6 months, I'm
Hey, I'm down.
We're gonna meet up because I'm gonna take a tolerance break just to smoke that stuff.
Guys, the only thing that I know is, like the fucking Knicks are winning.
Just let him cook. He'll get it out.
Fucking this motherfucker, like, this team, like they have none of you motherfuckers was born.
What's up, make stupid people famous? Welcome in, bud. Yeah, AJ, I see how much you fucking love me. Got me over here shooting shots again. Jesus Christ. You know I'm never going to end this fucking stream. Actually, dude, I got a question for you. This the Ivory Fool. This is just you, Bert. This Sasquatch Shills actually had a higher turnout than my last 3 combined.
Oh, nice.
We had 30 folks in chat at one point, and it was only me streaming it. And I've been in here with 5 channels streaming a Sasquatch Shills and not break 20. So you do have a certain something definitely there, because it certainly wasn't Bumpkin.
Right.
No, Bumpkin was a good co-host for sure.
How do you know it wasn't Bumpkin? What if it was Bumpkin?
It wasn't Duck.
Well,
No,
my
but it's always duck. It's always duck.
Actually, it reached its peak just before duck like kind of started going off script, and then it dropped off sharply when he kind of went in on the whole thoughts. And I don't know. I find it hard to listen to Duck. I feel like he's talking down to me about something he's never seen.
That's so good.
Something that I'm sitting here holding in my hand and I'm aware of that he's never seen and doesn't know I have it.
That's so accurate.
That's just duck for you.
So the Ivory Fool, are you Asian?
Half Asian, yeah.
All right, so half Asian, Chinese or
Yes,
Japanese?
Chinese, yeah.
I'm going to ask this again and just understand. I remember your answer last time, but I'm trying to catch you slipping. Are you a communist, sir?
I'm not a communist.
Okay. All right.
He's really not communist.
You.
McCarthy powers activate.
My parents, my grandparents are from, I think, Hong Kong. So like the one non-communist place in China.
The leastest of super socialism. Yeah. Bro. Oh, no, I can't. We can't talk about that. We can't talk about that at all.
You guys know about Hong Kong, right? Like,
look, I had a friend of mine who went to right before the big old shutteroo that went down. Right, he has family in Luzon, and he went to go bury his grandmother right before all the lockdowns kicked in. And he flew into the country, landed, got off the plane, went to the hotel, and the guys showed up in the black truck, threw him in the back of the black truck, took his ass somewhere outside of China and kicked him out on an airport somewhere, gave him all his papers back, told him to have a lovely day, kept all of his phones, kept all of his social everything. And it took him 2 months of hopping from airport to airport because he didn't have, because he wasn't at the airport he was supposed to be at, the tickets weren't valid at the other places because the airline that he was with didn't exist in the little airport they tossed him out at. And so he had to get a ticket and fly here and then stay there for long enough for like Delta or United or whoever the hell it was he was flying through to hook him up. It took him almost 2 months to get back. Fucking jacked his ass. Dude, I was watching the live stream when it fucking happened, bro. It was wild. Because he was staying at like this Airbnb type place. It was like a friend of a friend's upstairs attic space or whatever. So it was like it was sort of like some Anne Frank shit. He's like in this attic, it's all dusty and shit. He looks like he kind of looked like he was hiding, but he wasn't really. He just had a pallet up there in a space that wasn't used, and he had set up his little cell phone and his laptop and everything. And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna run downstairs to the store and grab some stuff," because it was right over a store. And so he went down the little fucking ladder, went, grabbed some stuff, and apparently that was out past curfew. He didn't even leave the building. He just went to the closed store that was downstairs, got some stuff off the shelves, put the money on the counter, and went back up. And apparently one of the street police saw him in the building, and they busted in the building, come jacked his ass, threw him in the back of a van, and kicked him out of the country. And not by taking him to the embassy or by taking him to any, they just threw him out of the nearest border they could find. They could truck his ass to.
Honestly, they probably saved him a lot of trife that way. I'm not gonna lie.
I got another one. During that same time period, my sister-in-law was touring Southeast Asia. She flew in, came in Atlanta, stopped by here on her way to Savannah. And then a week later, my whole family, her whole family, and some other cousins all went to Disney together. Yeah, I see you, Bumpkin. You get what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, let me tell you that during that Disney trip, I was the sickest I've ever been in my life. I almost died. The only reason I'm still alive today is because my dog is very determined. I'm not even joking. Apparently, I had a chest cold, the thing, but I hadn't heard of the thing yet, and so I didn't know what the thing was, but I just knew I was really freaking sick. I got over it in about a week, but when I come out of it, that shower, like I took a shower, I felt like shit. I went and took a shower. I came out wrapped in a towel, sat down on my couch, and passed out. Slept for 24 hours during a critical period I was supposed to be available to certain people. When I wake up, it's because the dog has jumped up in the chair and knocked me over. And he's literally digging at my chest, like left scratches on my chest. And that's what woke me up, was the intense pain on my chest. And so I wake up and I feel filthy and nasty. And I just, without even thinking about nothing, I just went straight back to the shower and took another shower, coughed up a whole bunch of goobers and could breathe. But when I walked in and looked in the mirror, my lips were blue. And I turned on the shower and stood there. Dude, I was dizzy as hell. I was lost, wasn't sure what was going on, didn't know what had woke me up, didn't know why my chest was bleeding. I was so freaking confused. By the end of that shower, I'd coughed up a bunch of goobers and could think again. And I realized I had 145 missing messages on my phone, 16 missed phone calls, and at least twice my pops had come by and tried to get my attention during that 24 hours. That never happens. He hasn't been here since then.
Someone's trying to keep you alive.
And then Ivory, Fu, and the other guy, if they would have been friends with you, they would have been on top of you, Sasquatch.
Well, that's hot. I like the way you think there, sir.
Let's go.
They would have been like, oh my God, please.
I just want to know who's bringing the baby oil.
Sasquatch, please.
The baby oil. I gotta leave.
No, we can only bring baby oil. We can only bring baby oil to those things if they're big enough to have
And then
a basketball.
the only one that has been serious is Jeston. Jeston is like, yes, I'm like a detective, ready to serve the country.
I'm actually Canadian.
Oh, you're Canadian. Okay. All right.
There's detectives in Canada.
I mean, Canada's about to be America.
That's true. Canada is about to be America.
But hold on.
We're hoping.
Get those cold water ports.
Yeah, right.
Wait.
Bidding on that Northwest Passage hard, bro.
It's more about the uranium and oil.
Your mom.
Are you Canadian or are you? Like...
Absolutely, I'm not Canadian, sir. I'm from Georgia. All right. Listen to me talk, and you tell me I'm not from Georgia.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like Georgia is just kind of like.
Well, no, I would accept Newfoundland as part of Georgia, but that's it.
Fair.
Newfies are honorary rednecks, just like Russians and Australians.
I feel like they are just rednecks. Those groups of people you mentioned.
I had one of the greatest conversations with a Newfie one night. He was drunk as hell. He don't drink often, so like he was drunk as hell over there. He was just kind of bubbling along with the conversation and stuff. And I found out this man can sail any vessel with sails. Like he knows everything. Down to everything. He could build a boat from memory of fucking alone because he spent 15 years in like the Newfoundland version of Boy Scouts, which is all about sailing. Homie will never be stranded anywhere where there's water. He is on it. And I'm sitting there like, because he was talking about how he was all dumb and he didn't know a bunch of shit. And like every time he goes places, everybody around him seems smarter. And I was like, I want you to look at the motherfuckers next time you're thinking that shit. And I want you to think they can't build a boat with a saw.
They probably can't start a fire by themselves.
Right. No. See, I don't know how much you've watched anything I do. I grew up unbelievably poor. Like I could try to explain how poor I was and it wouldn't come across. So I'll just say I grew up in a swamp on an acre in the middle of 221 acres. I was basically Christopher Robin all by my goddamn self out in that motherfucker with a canoe and a fishing pole. So I can build a fire underwater, bro. Like, I have talent when it comes to making fire. You get me anywhere other than actually physically wet, and it'll burn. I swear I could burn anything.
Georgia is just an open air training camp.
It is an open air training. My brother's the same way with boats, by the way. He went to a alternative high school and he builds boats. He still builds boats to this day. He still sails too. Like, you ever watch Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
If we have it, fuck you.
Yeah.
First movie with the first boat that blew up. You remember that boat?
I don't remember.
Anyways, doesn't matter. That's called the Lady Washington, right? He repaired the mast on the Lady Washington. He took me on a trip. I drove that boat. Like, I sailed that boat.
Piloted.
Is it piloted?
Where you from?
Well, okay. Here's a weird thing about sailing, and this is one of the things that I kind of I kind of feel like cities should do this for RVs, but they won't. Anyway, pilots. You have a harbor pilot. You might have 27 harbor pilots work the same harbor. And these harbor pilots' jobs is to know where all the different little sand drifts and the vagaries of this specific harbor. And they get a big workup sheet on the ship that's coming in, what its draft is, how long it is, what its laden is, all of that stuff. And their job is to bring them from open sea into an actual docking, right? That is a highly specialized job. That's not the kind of thing you just learn to do that shit on a Tuesday. That's some living in that fucking area your whole life type crap, right? And so if you were close enough into shore, then you were technically piloting, I believe.
Yeah.
I got to roll. Thanks for having me up, Sasquatch. Nice meeting you. I'll chat with you later.
Appreciate you coming.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm about ready to wrap up too.
Yeah, he was a sea cadet. That's right.
You're about ready to wrap up, Ivory, as well.
Yeah, but it was great to meet you, Bumpkin. I'd love to be on your show.
It's a whole different animal.
Oh, it's jury rigged blood sports.
It's a whole different animal.
I'd be down to try.
I've always wanted to kind of build one of those channels, a good solid debate channel. I got to have a little input on the Raging Tomato, and I got to double dip that input by basically drilling a whole bunch of shit into the Powdered Dusty's head so that he would repeat it later when I wasn't around.
Hey, anyone is
Sasquatch? Andrew also Wilson was involved, right?
With me, I have no children by him.
Did you open his pickle jars?
I specifically want as many dissenting opinions as possible. Right now, it's a little bit of an echo chamber, so I would
Get me on there then.
Melanie Cosmic Fox wants to
I'll 1v9.
Well. Melanie Cosmic. She's gonna. Dude, this is gonna make me so much money.
I want some money. Give me some money. I like money. Everybody gives me money. I spent too long telling people to keep their fucking money. That's the problem.
Because it's for me to make money, right? There is a cash prize at the end of how much people donate, but there is a bunch of like chat options that people can do.
Bumpkin, where you from?
$50 to boot some. 1 second, Mike. $50 to boot someone up. $20 to bring them back. Stuff like that. Name changes. Stuff like that. I grew up in a rural town in Washington State.
Washington State.
All right, so it's not like a structured debate. It's more just like
it's
a full panel of
full panel. There's 10 questions that I burned through.
So you all right?
Yeah, I need to get better at that. But I'm down where it's like it's a no holds barred kind of.
So Ivory,
now the chat can pay for it.
I want to ask Ivory a question right quick. Did you stream this to your channel or did you just record it?
I streamed it.
Absolutely fantastic. His very first upload to his channel was this tonight.
The reason
That's fucking awesome, bro.
I had him in my recommended feeds. I thought it was my subscribers subscriptions, but I had it in my recommended feed.
Bitch, I'm good at what I do.
Was it my stream or was it?
No, it was
it
the
Sasquatch's?
Ivory Fool. It was the Ivory
Sasquatch,
Fool
do you
channel.
think that the flow
Nice.
is gonna be on tonight or?
I have no idea what he's gonna do, dude. He doesn't check in shit with me. I don't even have any idea why he gave me the fucking keys. He's never okay. Three times in the past year and a half, he's called me up and asked me a direct question about a specific thing. That's it. And once it was for my address, and nothing ever showed up.
Definitely.
Why does that not surprise me?
I got no fucking clue what that got
You know,
planned.
the Knicks, you guys, you fuckers don't even probably don't give a fuck about the
Probably.
NBA. But the
There's
Knicks
a high
are
chance.
still alive. Hey, this is like the last time the Knicks won was 1973, and they're having the opportunity to advance. Hey, yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
Messages failed to load. I hate Discord. Discord sucks so bad.
I'll have to let you in manually.
I don't know if
for that one.
Sasquatch. This is your Discord. I'm
No, dude. Like, all right, I tried to join somebody's Discord. This happens like 1/3 of the times I join Discords. When I join it, it tells me that messages didn't load, that my invite wasn't received, and yada yada yada. A couple of hours from now, you'll see me show up in chat over there some fucking where, and I'm not there.
All right.
That's just
Well,
it getting around to letting me in.
In my Discord specifically, I have people vetting, so people hit the link and they'll message me like, "Hey, nothing's showing up." It's like, because you're supposed to be vetted, and I'm like, if you join during the streams, you don't get vetted.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna do a Coliseum stream tonight.
Basically,
What are you like?
I thought we were gonna play DayZ with your brother.
Empire.
Huh?
I thought we were gonna play DayZ with your brother.
No, Bumpkin's like, I was not gonna do any wrong.
Yeah, but I like money.
I want money.
I love money.
Everyone loves the money.
You know what? That's the thing with you.
If there's going to be wealth redistribution, I
All
would
right.
like it.
So
to
the
be
only.
distributed to
All
me.
right. All right. Can I actually? All right. Cool. Can I ask the panel something?
Go
I
ahead.
know that I
Good try.
have a feeling that Avery Fool was like, no, he's gonna disagree. We all
I would
disagree.
have to understand the question first.
All right. Do we all love money?
I like money.
Oh, StreamYards just added Kick as a
Yes,
destination.
they did. In fact, I was actually messaging Captain Curmudgeon about that while we were live. I was like, they just added Kick. We should definitely add a Kick if it's going to be easy and we can do it. The reason I don't restream the Rumble is because it takes like 5 extra fucking steps to make it work on Rumble.
Yeah.
And then I get like,
Guess who just started a Kick channel?
You?
Yes.
Yeah.
Avery Fool, do you love money or do you?
I love money.
Oh, you do.
I worship money as an idol.
Well, don't say that.
You know what? He's
I'm okay with it. I'm an American. Selling out is what we do. Just don't do it cheap. The American way.
Oh, I'm cheap. No.
It's the fucking American way. You're not American if you don't love money.
Every dollar adds up.
Hey, you're not American if you don't love money.
All right, who's live right now? Where can we redirect some shit?
I'm about to have something open where you can read.
Yeah, fucking do that shit, dude. Because all these.
I gotta remember how to spell this shit.
Oh, I found Dusty.
Dusty. All right.
Let's see what the fuck they're talking about, since they're such dickheads and didn't invite us.
Is he live right now?
No, I don't know. Maybe, but let's see what they're saying. He's not on cam, so he's probably not talking.
It's some heavy metal. That shit went viral. You didn't see that shit?
The man infuriated, cops say, by the street closures and detours set up for the
Give you a
local
little preview.
parade. rather than deal with the inconvenience. He's accused of aggressively barreling past the barriers and through the city. The dash cam video has just been released, and we warn you, it's terrifying.
We've
Thanks for having
seen
me,
Ghostface
Mr.
before.
Sasquatch.
What it is, brother.
Take care.
Welcome to purgatory.
If you have any questions about streaming, YouTube, terms of service, StreamYard, various other streaming locations and whatnot, just email me. If I can explain it, I've been doing this for like 5 years, and that's kind of that's where I'm at.
All right. Great to meet you, everyone.
Dan is a genius and really good at it, and he will literally tell you if you're breaking TOS, and it's good to listen to him. Every time I've listened to him, I've never had an issue. But the one time you don't, you get the vanilla triangle of sadness.
Trifecta of shit takes place. Ardit, baby, girl, can I see your pretty bald head? Just so I know it's not somebody trying to prawn bomb my ass. Peace out, brother. Appreciate you coming through.
They're coming out, buddy.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's gonna. Oh, he's not. Ardit, is that you, bud? Speak or forever hold your pieces.
That is in fact me.
I just see that Kick is an evil place because I
All
see
right,
a
there
fat
it is.
guy.
All
I
right,
see a fat
yeah,
guy.
I'm letting you up. You can calm down.
Hi, everybody.
What's up, baby?
Well, I had nothing. I was down with a migraine the last couple hours, and I'm awake for at least 3 or 4 now, so I figured I'd pop in and say hi. And just for you, Sasquatch.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, bro. You're going to hit me. Yeah, we can't see that. I know what you're doing, though. Homie packs his cigarette by hitting the camera with it. Based as fuck, dude. Welcome in, Zephyr. Appreciate you coming through.
Oh, wow.
All
I've
right,
got an
so where
absolutely
we
terrible
now?
connection. I hope you guys can hear me okay.
It's a little here and there, but we can understand you.
Oh, that's good. So what's the topic of discussion tonight?
How do you do community events and games? How does that work? What's the games? I've been thinking about doing a panel game for a minute. I've got a couple of ideas, but I don't know what.
I can't remember the stream games, but I can ask Low, and I can since you're in the Discord, I can hit you up and tell you how to do it. But mainly our community events are just doing get feedback bad.
All right, baby. Can you turn down your phone 2 clicks?
But yeah, our what we do is we organize like online multiplayer.
This is being problematic there, bro. Sounding great, guys.
So true, King. So true.
Yeah, we got that top-notch content over here, people. Don't be snoozing on it. You can tune in and watch the technical issues take place live.
Yeah, I can barely hear any of you guys. I just wanted to pop in and point out that if you're going to take Canada on as the U.S., you should have takes on as a territory. I just wanted to pop in and point out that if you're going to take Canada on as the U.S., you should have
echoes of echoes of echoes of echoes. Oh, this is getting worse. It's so much worse now. Oh my God. Go away.
Getting worse.
Oh no, it's you, Mike. Mike, it's you. Stop it.
Oh my God. Go away. Getting worse.
Oh no, it's you, Mike. Mike, stop it.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. This is so much worse. Jesus. It was him the whole time? Talk to me, Ardent. Speak.
I think it was Mike this whole time.
Well, Ardent's currently muted. I think we had some weird crossover shit taking place. And I think Mike just dropped out. Nope, there he is. Hey, Mike, I'm going to mute you. Unmute when you want to talk. All right. Now, I forgot where we were at, but somebody paid me $10 to take shoot shots. Now what? Did you start your live stream? Have you figured that shit out yet? You're muted. But that's going to be very informative.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. The live stream is created. It's just not live yet. I have the 10 questions
Right. Give me 2 seconds and I'll redirect that way.
Orthodox, are you trying to jump up?
I'll join for a bit if you want.
For me.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's private chat. Since your channel doesn't come up when I search for it.
And my redirect should be active. I set that up in the settings.
Yeah. And analytics. I'm actually fairly impressed with how this actually turned out. Like usually when you host a tiny channel, the turnout's like fucking nothing, dude. I'll pick up like 1 or 2 subscribers from little channels. But thing is, these are real people. They're not bots.
Right.
They actually show up. They check out live streams later. They subscribe. They're permanent subscribers who really like the fact that I tried to help somebody that they like. And so support. That makes sense. Oh yeah, that's right. I always forget how to do a redirect because it seems weird to me.
I might have to get trained how to do that eventually when I'm actually able to. Because I don't think I can redirect. I think I can only accept redirects because I'm not monetized.
Very difficult. I couldn't do it when I was streaming.
All right. So, what's the name of your stream?
Oh, it's let me see real fast.
Copy pasta that shit backstage. I'll just make it so much fucking easier. Oh, I see.
Boom, right here.
Bam. Save.
But to answer your question, Sasquatch, we basically just hold multiplayer games right now, like DayZ, Call of Duty, Project Zomboid, Baratron.
Oh, you're talking video games. I thought you were talking panel games. Like, I need to get some games on my PS5. I just haven't done it. I got the PS5 downloaded and listed, and that's what I've been playing. I've got a little bit of a identity crisis going on because when I got the PS5, I decided to transfer over to the Caucasian Sasquatch identity and leave my old gamer tags and everything behind because they're the last tie I have to my previous troll existence.
Okay.
Fair enough, but the panel games, since you asked, I'll ask Miss Lowe how to do them because she does them on her channel. And I was thinking about doing them as well because they're fun. But yeah, I'll definitely ask her, Universal Jones.
Sure. There's also chat games you can set up through BotRx.
That's what they do. They do like,
All right, you got that shit started up over there yet, Bumpkin? You in business? You can do the sign language thing if you want to, since you're muted again. All right. Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all are going to be transferred over automatically through the magic of studio editing by way of YouTube. Have fun. These guys are absolutely feckin' nuts.